to another day of Digital K.A.P Entertainment. Got your boy K-Dogg in the building.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. my bad. It's your boy DJ Roosta all day, baby.
It's your boy AJ to the BI, also known as Habi. And like always, don't forget to comment, subscribe, and like all our videos on YouTube. And hit that notification button so you can always see the new content. Check out our socials. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon, all right? Yeah.
We got a special guest in the house.
Let him know.
Special guest in the house.
Yes, sir.
Got Sinck, comedian Sinck.
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
How
sir.
you doing, buddy?
Hey, listen, if I complain, I'm a lying motherfucker. I ain't got no problems, B.
There you go.
I hear that.
So
Yes, sir.
how was the trip out here, man?
Trip was cool, you know. This is around the rush hour
Yeah.
bullshit, so getting out of Brooklyn was a little tight and then through Queens, but once you get out here in the sticks, once you pass, it's so strange, man, that, you know, I went to school out here.
Yeah.
And coming from Brooklyn, we used to tease the dudes from out here.
Oh, damn.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Well,
How?
Well, you know, there were guys that I went to school on a football scholarship out of New York Tech.
Oh, nice.
And the guys that came from here, they were like, well, I was from Bellport, and I was all county. It was like, all county, B? That's like all driveway in Brooklyn.
Dang.
You know.
Old driveway.
Yeah, word, damn.
Yeah, we were rough on the Capture Long Island. But
I think you're a little mad that we had a beach out here. The motherfuckers got beaches and shit.
trees and grass and shit. We were pissed
he
off.
said that shit.
Oh, boy, bro.
So
I
let's-
said it in the first episode. People consider us out here the boondocks.
I know, it's crazy.
We got yards and shit. Yeah. In the city, they ain't got no damn yard.
But see, I went to school before Chuck D put you motherfuckers on the map
Ooh.
and turned you all from Long Island to Strong Island.
Strong
Yeah.
Eric B and all that.
And,
For APMD days.
Yeah.
APMD,
Yep.
the cats from what's the joint with True Goy and
This
De
man,
La Soul.
this man,
De La
was
Soul,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
De La Soul, yep. Biz Marquis, got to shout out
Biz
Biz
Marquis,
Marquis.
that's
Tell
right.
other than-
Yeah.
Even Redman lived in Long
Yeah.
Island.
That's Reggie.
He's from Jersey, but he lived in Long Island
Oh.
with Eric B and all them.
Okay,
And
okay.
I forgot what town, but yeah, he lived in Long Island for a
Okay,
minute.
because I know Red from Jersey.
Yeah, he stayed in Jersey, but
Yeah.
he lived out here
The
for a
bricks.
minute. Yeah,
Yeah, Brick City.
car
Exactly.
stealing motherfuckers.
Exactly.
So let's-
K Solo out here too.
Yeah, yep.
Crazy ass.
So let the people know who you are, man, real quick.
Well, this your man Sinck, and comedian extraordinaire. I like to think people call me that. I didn't just dub myself
Yeah.
that, but I've been in the business. Well, November will make 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Doing this, and
Longevity.
exactly, man.
Nice.
I'm very blessed to be doing what I'm doing. You know, they say when you love your job, you won't ever work a day in your life. So I happen to be in that small percentage of people. I don't think anybody has a better job than myself other than porno actors. That's it. I can't think of a better job than that shit right there. But yeah, my job comes pretty close, man.
There you go. There you go.
I can't complain. I love it.
So you say you from Brooklyn? You just
Born and raised. Baby.
okay, nice.
Came into the world on St. John's Place.
And what time was that? What, like around?
That was 6:50 in the morning on March 21st of 1959.
You asked him what time. You asked him.
1959.
I was born in the 1900s. That fucks
All right,
with y'all.
so
like, oh shit, he's from last century.
early, in the 60s, I'm assuming was your developing as a
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
How was it growing up like around that time?
The 60s was
70s, you know.
Yeah, listen, it was a good and a bad time.
Mhm.
I mean, the saying it takes a village to raise a child was true.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, all the parents on my block were my parents.
that's always I heard.
All of the moms, all of the pops.
Mhm.
And I'm talking about any one of them had the liberty to smack the shit out
Yep.
of you if you were doing the wrong thing. And
Sound like my family.
exactly, bring you down to your blood mother and father, and they would thank this motherfucker for fucking you up. Yo, thank you for busting his ass.
And then when you got home, you just gonna have it all over again.
You got a worse one.
So that's a 4-ass
Straight to your room, like no.
Exactly, but we had a social network.
Okay.
You know, where everything was based on you getting along with other people. You know, we didn't have any individual entertainment like these kids. You know, the computer, what have you. You had to put your foot in, choose, engine, number line.
Yeah.
You knew who the cheaters on your block were, who the crybabies were.
Everybody
who
outside.
The tough
Literally.
everybody outside.
You got nowhere to go.
That I'm telling you. And it's just the opposite. You tell the kid now to go outside, oh, why? It's punishment.
That seems backwards to me.
It's so
I used to love going outside. Like,
Exactly.
It's true though. It's very true.
And you know, when you were on punishment and you had to go to your room, that was it. Baby. 4 walls and a bed if you're lucky.
Yeah, I was on a couple of my punishments.
no TV. That's the real punishment.
Man,
I got a TV back with no color. But you went over that already.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. That's right. Black and white TV. And listen, man, me and my peers, we just about on a daily basis, we are so thankful for when and where we came up because it has prepared us for so much that we encountered later on in life. And, you know, there's a part of me that feels sorry for younger cats, but then there's a part of me that envies some of the things that they have, like the cell phone and the camera. I wish we had that back in the day. There were so many moments that I would have liked to have captured. But, you know, as a young man now, social network, you can't be fucking around too tough because everybody can spot you wherever you are.
Yep.
They done fucked up abortions already. You know, the whole thing with this whole Me Too movement and everything is hypersensitive. You know, what we used to just call rapping to a girl, now they're calling that harassment, and motherfuckers want to throw you in jail behind it. Hey, boo. You master, you can.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, somebody's.
It's because of social media, though. 'Cause
Exactly.
the media and spins it, and now like when interactions and stuff, like back in the day in the club, you go holler at a girl, it was natural. You know, you had to be dressed nice, smell good.
Exactly.
You know, now you could just what's your snap? You know, like it's like that's it.
Exactly.
That's all it is. Now you don't even have to do
He's
that.
like,
You
this
just
seems
go-
like cheating.
You sure? Like,
But now you don't even do that. You just, if you have somebody on your snap and then they post their friends, tag their snap, now you got their snap. Now it's like,
it's different.
the fuck?
I ain't
Nobody
buying
even know
no
you.
girls
They
no
ain't-
drinks no more. That's my rule. I'm not brown nosing. I ain't buying no girl no
And
drinks.
that's the other thing.
I'm not doing it no more.
We used
What
to
the
go
fuck?
up to women and just ask them like standard questions. Hey, boo, how you doing?
Yeah.
Are you married, single? I'm married, single. Don't matter. Is the motherfucker here?
You
If he
fucking
ain't,
here. Yeah.
and you single. Exactly. And, you know, the crumb snatchers, how many you got? And now you guys got to ask, how long you been a bitch?
You got what did Martin say?
I need
Check
some-
the neck.
I need some
Reassurance.
I need some baby pictures, man. I'm not sure you got on that nice little turtleneck, and I didn't know if that was just what you chose to wear or what you have to wear.
Those cheekbones look a little high.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna lie. We knew what we were getting into. I was like, yo, he's a comedian.
I love it. I love it.
Trust me,
I
man.
love it.
And you know that's some of the type of craziness that you guys got to deal with now.
Yeah, it's a tough time. It's what's all going on. It's a tough time. I feel like I appreciate the old school because they didn't have so much. So they used whatever they had to make a time out of it, whatever it was.
A lot of
Now
creativity.
I feel like there's a lot of entitlement because we have everything now. We have like all the kids that grow up are born with it in their face, so they feel like it's an entitlement. It's mentally an entitlement. It's not even like they're forced to be entitled to it.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that they have it, so they must need it.
It's fun. It's funny you say that because there's Joe Rogan, right? He did this bit where you say, "What would happen if you got rid of all the smart people? Like, would you know how to use a phone? We legit go back to cavemen, like legit."
Straight up.
Straight up.
And it's getting to the point now, and I see it with even my peers. You know, we used to have discussions about sports or what have you, and say, "Damn, who was the point guard for the Celtics when they won the championship with Kevin Garnett?" And you start to go into your mental Rolodex.
Yeah.
Rondo.
Rajon Rondo. Now, you know, he's a Celtic fan.
Nah,
He a basketball fan.
But that's what I'm saying. We had that conversation. My man reaches for his phone
Yep.
and his
I got
Google.
you.
I'm like, you lazy bitch.
What the fuck am I supposed to do? Use my brain to remember it?
Exactly. And it shit, it kills me, man.
It's like trying to get people to remember numbers.
Yeah,
They
that's
just know
another-
it.
You know what's sad about that though? Like,
I don't remember numbers.
if you end up, God forbid, let's say you end up getting locked up, right?
Okay.
Back in the day, it's like, okay, let me go to payphone.
Yeah,
I know the
I
number.
know this motherfucking number.
If
Yeah.
you get locked up now, they take your phone.
Oh, yeah.
Try to call someone. Be like, I know the name.
I know my phone
Yeah,
number.
well, you gotta show me the unlock and everything, and
You
I'll
can't
dial the
do it,
number.
though.
No, you
I'm
can't.
telling you, you don't know your number.
It's a life
people's number.
sentence.
That was like
Crazy.
that was one of the things that growing up, you know, my parents would be like, "This is your phone number. Remember it." Laugh and say it over. I still remember my phone number back in the day. I guarantee you don't know your phone number now.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I guarantee that.
That's how that happened.
I tell my friends all the time, you take your teenage child, drive him a mile away from the house, take his phone from him. You'll never see that.
You would never see.
You will
not
never
a
see
mile
that
by-
motherfucker.
It'll be
just
safe
a
as
mile.
hell, but in the same spot.
You'll never see that motherfucker.
You won't. You right. You won't.
It's crazy to me that people own vehicles and don't know how to change a
tire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
my
I agree
God.
with that.
Yeah, 20-year-olds don't even know how to change a tire.
You
And
don't
I'm
know how to
like,
change
what
a
the
tire.
I don't give a fuck what age. Like that's crazy.
It's crazy
That's
as
crazy.
hell. Like,
That's
oh,
crazy.
joke aside, like,
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Like,
There's certain responsibilities that comes with operating
Like
a motor
growing up,
vehicle.
yep.
And
Yeah.
You got to know certain things.
And it's
fact.
not even a
It's a
female
fact.
male thing.
No.
No,
I
it's
feel
not.
like
It's just
all
it's a
people
young
should
generation
know
thing.
certain
Yeah.
basic
Yeah.
things about having a car,
Okay.
maintenance set checks and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You should
And
it's
your
just-
gauges. You should know what your gauges
Yeah,
mean.
exactly. Yep.
And when, back in the day, we were able to tell from just sitting in the driver's seat and driving whether we need an alignment,
Yeah.
if the suspension was wrong, the
That's
shocks
crazy.
needed to be changed. You felt the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if there's not a light affiliated with it,
It's because the cars are devalued.
AAA,
now, too.
please.
that's a fact. Oh, what is this light mean? Like,
exactly.
That means you have no oil.
Put a Sharpie over that.
oh, the tire.
motherfucker.
The tire light. Nobody know what that is. Like,
I think tire lights the most ignored thing.
Of
That I
course.
think is really bad.
Because the tire lights, like the boy who cried wolf, that
Yeah.
shit will come on if it's too
I
cold.
got one
Yeah,
on right now.
You lose your
and I
gas
still
cap
drive
loose,
because I know it's
some
going to go off.
shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather be crying wolf than actually blow up on me. Like, if I see that light, air immediately.
That's right. You got to be on
Air.
top of it. And that's the thing. The car is like the phone. It's
Yeah.
doing so much for you. You don't have to do anything for yourself. So your natural indicators, I mean, let's go back even further. Back before we had television and radio and weathermen, farmers and people just used to be
Yeah.
able to look into the sky
Yeah.
and tell how the weather was going to be.
Yeah.
True.
You know, when there's a natural disaster, earthquake, tornado, animals respond.
Yeah.
Tsunami,
Yeah.
that was an old Bernie Mac joke. He said, anytime you see a chicken, a snake, and a rooster run in the same direction, or elephant, a snake, and a rooster run in the same direction, you like,
Better go.
yeah,
Something
Yeah,
going on.
something going on. Yeah.
follow them, motherfuckers. Just follow them and find out later.
Yeah. It's like your granny and stuff saying my bones hurt. It's gonna rain. It's gonna pour tonight, honey.
Well, you know that's a great segue into this question right here. How'd you get started in comedy?
From the time I was in, elementary school.
Damn. You're just that funny
I
cat.
was that motherfucker.
I hear a lot of stories like that. Like comedians, they just was funny. Like
But see, there's a difference. People think class clown
Mm-hmm.
and class comedian are two different things.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And there's one comedian that really put it succinctly, and he said, listen, the guy that runs around the class with his pants around his knees, 2 pencils in his ear.
That's
and,
a stupid
and
motherfucker.
That's the class
He's just
clown.
stupid, so he tries to
Exactly.
show
Yeah.
out because he don't know how to
That's
do
the
it.
class clown.
Yep.
The guy that got him to do it is the
Is
class comedian.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you usually sitting in the back, you turning the buttons and you sit back and watch the effect. But, a sense of humor is exactly that, a sense of humor. We all are born normally with 5 senses, but a sense of humor is a 6th sense. And there's some people that have that, and some people that don't.
You think some demonic motherfuckers out there, they got no damn sense of humor?
Yeah.
They just stare at
There's
you
a lot of people like that.
Vladimir Putin. I can't even picture that motherfucker laughing.
Smiling.
Murder. With a straight face.
Boris Badenov. I don't know if y'all know Bullwinkle and Natasha. Yeah, that type shit. But it's something. And then I believe that becoming a comedian is something that's told to you by other people.
Mm-hmm.
Other people tell
You get
you,
anointed it. Like,
yeah, man. You.
Let me tell you something. K-Dogg, okay.
Mhm.
Tell him how old you are.
29.
Okay.
29?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
He's 70.
I thought he was 30.
My bad. Mentally, he's so much older. It's crazy.
Except when he says we watch the Cosby's live, and I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, bro, we're not that
Yeah,
old.
Watch
Like,
those bitches live.
Like we in the
got
audience.
8 years
so.
on this guy. Like, all right.
But see, that old soul puts you in a
Yeah,
special place.
my
man.
grandmother, people
Yeah.
like it's just the way I was
And your
brought up.
memory is
Yeah,
working.
intact, yeah, exactly.
Motherfucker said Rajon Rondo in a
Yeah.
minute.
Literally, no phone, no nothing. Like, yo.
Nothing.
And he's not even a Celtics fan. I
Never.
just said when the Celtics won with Kevin
San
Garnett,
Antonio
and you
all
know.
day.
Yeah,
San Antonio,
Okay,
and a
okay.
little New York because I'm from here. Got to represent New
Yeah.
York, but not really.
Nah, Brooklyn Nets. So I can't fuck with the Nets.
They're not even Brooklyn. They're not even allowed to be called Brooklyn Nets yet. They haven't been a team for 10 years.
Yeah, they pissing me off.
Kyrie,
I need to hide my hat.
look at this bandwagon fan. Look at this bandwagon fan. The other night,
What
he had Golden State
I'm about to
Warriors.
say, he had the Warriors.
With
on,
Stephen Curry.
With Stephen Curry.
I agree
Like,
with that a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Bandwagon
Yeah,
fan.
but listen, and there are people that are upset with Kyrie Irving, but I like Kyrie because
He stand his ground.
and that's what makes him who he
Mhm.
is. He's as good a ball player as he is because he understands that he's not everybody.
And it's not just basketball.
It's everything.
Don't put him in a bubble where
It's everything.
I'm just a basketball
Exactly.
player. Like the same thing with LeBron when they said shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
Like they're not just
And
basketball
that's
players.
just totally
Monkeys.
disrespectful. You just
what is his
take
name?
away their humanity from them.
He played for the LA Lakers. They were before they were the LA Lakers. I think
Mhm.
Minnesota. Elgin Bailey.
Elgin
Bailey. Yeah, he
Mhm.
did the same thing. And
Yeah.
he told them, "I'm not playing no more because I ain't no dang monkey.
Exactly.
And I'm not. When you just want to throw me out there to perform, then when I'm off stage, I can't say nothing."
Exactly.
So that he literally stopped the finals and everything. He was like, "I ain't playing no
And
more."
Elgin Baylor was great.
What year was that?
Great. This was 60s. 60,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 60s, 70s.
Elgin Baylor was great.
See.
And that's the thing. First of all, back then, you had to be a college graduate to play pro ball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or at least attend college.
That's
for
right.
years.
When did it go to high school?
Probably 90s.
Well,
the first player.
No, I
to
think
go
it was
was
Kobe,
Kevin
right?
Garnett. No,
Nah,
Kevin
they-
Garnett was,
They
was the
had a
first player.
few folks that came straight out of high school.
I just
I
remember
want to
Kobe
say Kevin
being
Garnett was the first
Kevin
NBA
Garnett
player to
before-
go.
before
when did Kobe come
KG.
and play for the Lakers out of high school?
I played
said that.
98.
You said it, so I mean,
No, but
I'm
I-
expecting him to be like, yeah. Like,
No, but I remember that being real big. That Kobe came out of high school and right into the NBA. It was the same thing like LeBron,
Yeah.
but I can't remember anyone before
Players
Kobe.
done it
Kevin
before.
Garnett.
Kevin Garnett.
Or the kid that went to Atlanta, Howard.
Oh, Dwight Howard, but
Dwight
that was after
Howard,
obviously Kobe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dwight Howard did. I
Dwight
forgot he
Howard
Yeah,
did
but that's what I'm saying. So
Howard
it's
did.
pretty
Perkins
much
did
of
it.
what the last 20 years they were having.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, it's like fairly
it
new.
wasn't- yeah, it wasn't common.
People went to college.
Yeah, you had to be in
People went
college,
to
yeah.
So these are at least college-educated athletes, and people are telling them, "Look, other than playing ball, we don't want to hear from you." That's a bunch of bullshit. And a lot of times, they're the most intelligent person in the room.
Yeah.
Okay, and a person that you couldn't say that to was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh hell,
at
no.
all.
You still can't say that.
Exactly.
He's still living in those
And
days.
the high,
Damn.
high level of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for this generation, on the Celtics, Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown. Yep. That
Extremely
boy,
intelligent.
He turned
dude,
up
dude.
too in this final, man.
Oh, yeah.
I feel bad, but he turned up.
And
What-
he
what
was
team
the
was he
best
on?
player.
Celtics.
Okay.
He was the best player on the
Boston
Celtics.
Clippers.
You hit me with the Legends selection of NBA
2K.
It's custom made in his team.
He's talking in your language. You know what I mean? You keep saying things wrong. You know what I mean?
What's crazy? We go through that too. They figure you're a comedian, you're just a ha guy.
Yeah, you ain't serious. You always got to make somebody laugh.
Well, and like
you might be mad.
You don't know anything other than
that must be
jokes.
annoying. Like just like you and your peers are just hanging out and you eating dinner.
Yeah,
like somebody, hey, you the comedian, go do something. Like maybe what the fuck?
Or cops will do that to you. Stop you. They see something that shows you're a comedian or whatever, a business card, and they're like, oh yeah, really? Tell me a joke.
Yeah.
I got a joke for you.
I must say that must get
How
annoying.
many donuts are in a bag?
Well, I'm saying.
Especially when women say it to me, oh, you're a comedian, tell me a joke. I said, well, what if I was a gynecologist, bitch? Would you jump up on the table?
That is a good way to think of it.
That is a good one.
Would you just jump on the table?
Exactly.
Check me out.
So I gotta ask though. You said you basically you got an elementary, but then when was like your first big gig? Well, not first big gig, but first like, gig to get you into the game.
My first gig was November 18th of 1992 at Stand Up New York.
Nice.
I had a friend of mine who was working with the Apollo in the city broadcasting.
Okay.
And she said to me, you know, the comedians that perform at the Apollo, very few of them are as funny as you are. You should really try to make this work. So I said, well, you know, people have been telling me that all my life. I'm thinking I'm going to make my money catching touchdowns. I ain't got time to tell no fucking jokes. And she got in touch with me and said, listen, at Stand Up New York in Manhattan, they have something called a pre-show where they take new comedians and put them on the show, but they don't specifically say that you're a new comedian, which was my apprehension, because the audience can go from just audience members to critics when they hear that you're a new comedian. So they blend you into the show.
That's pretty dope, though.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that
and
is actually
the requirement at the time was you had to bring 3 paying customers to get on the show.
Oh, nice.
It's actually not that bad.
It's not bad at all. That's actually pretty easy to do, too. Like,
and then if you brought 10 or more, they would give you half the cover.
Ooh.
For everybody that you brought.
Oh, snap.
Nice.
My first show, I made $100.
Okay.
All right.
Because I brought like 40 some odd people.
Like I provided the buses.
I provide the audience. Don't worry
and
about it.
The beautiful thing about it was because I had so many people in the audience, the young lady that was hosting the show, she said, we're going to have to make you the headliner. You're going to have to go on last because
nice.
If you go on and leave, that's the crowd.
Yeah, that's it. That's over,
It's done there.
So it was, you know, you're nervous, you have the butterflies, but I was prepared because I was a teacher prior to getting into comedy.
Oh, nice.
So the
what
scary
were you
part,
teaching? What were you teaching?
I was teaching GED prep, which entailed writing, social studies, science, reading, and math.
Okay.
So that people could take the GED exam, get their diploma, and go on.
All right.
Nice.
So I had to teach all 5 subjects. And I was in schools where I was a reading teacher in one school, I was a math teacher in another school. It didn't matter.
It was like a substitute?
Yeah, well, just when the GED prep,
Yeah.
when you really break it down, the social studies, science, and reading is all reading. They're going to be asking you questions, and then you have to. So it's not really application of science or what have you.
Gotcha.
Writing, you have to know style and diction, sentence structure, spelling, grammar. So that gets broken up a little bit. And math was on the 8th grade level. So it didn't get really beyond fractions and decimals.
Okay.
Oh, snap.
So, and I enjoyed teaching. It was a program that was originally created for Vietnam vets that got drafted before they could get their high school diploma.
Ah, gotcha.
But
Okay.
they kept it in force even after they exhausted all those guys because there was so many kids that, for one reason or another, like in New York City, you can't remain in school as a girl if you become pregnant. So they had they had to pull them out, and they had to have a place for them to go.
Oh, okay.
Some of the centers in which I worked, they had daycare provisions for those girls if they already had a child.
Nice.
So it was just a way of giving people a second chance.
Where's that now?
It's still around.
Really?
It's called ASHES, the Auxiliary Services for High Schools.
Okay.
Nice.
And
they do it for all districts, most districts?
Yeah. They're throughout the city. I'm not sure if they have any centers out here on the island, but throughout New York, 5 boroughs.
Okay.
And, one of the greatest fears, they say one of the top 3 fears is public speaking.
Yeah.
So that's what really keeps a lot of people out of comedy, stand-up comedy. Because the funniest person I know is one of my cousins.
Yeah.
But he would never get up on stage.
I don't mind that.
Well, no, I'm saying, but that does have to be scary because you figure some of these crowds can be like 15 people, and other of these crowds can be like 20,000.
Between one person and 10,000, what's the difference?
The sea of people that you see.
I don't see it like that.
And the amount of people that see you bomb if you don't.
Yeah, I'm about to say that part.
I don't have that problem. Stage presence, I don't have that problem.
But see, the thing is, if you don't have a fear of public speaking, and you have a sense of humor, you've got most of the battle won. But there's a difference between being funny among the people that know you, because you all know somebody in your group.
Yeah,
that's funny. The minute he turns the corner, you start like, this motherfucker's on his way down the block. You start laughing right away. But then when you have to do that for a room full of strangers that have to get to know you in the first couple of words, and it varies from crowd to crowd. Black and Spanish crowds, they don't give you a whole lot of time, man. You better make these motherfuckers move now from the city.
You have to tell the truth. I feel like comedy is telling the truth and bending it to as far as you can bend it, where it's funny. I noticed I laugh a lot when it's true, but like, damn, why'd you go there?
And when it touches you.
Yeah, exactly.
When you can identify with it, that now feeds into reading your audience. And when you're working like at Caroline's, which is in the middle of Midtown,
I want to go there.
So you got a lot of tourists. It's an eclectic room. You have
old,
young, black, white, Midwest city. So you can't just talk about bodegas and Subway because this motherfucker from Nebraska is looking at you crazy.
Excuse me.
Exactly.
But that's what I'm saying.
Is that a gun?
Yeah, a gun.
I don't want to go there.
So I'm saying, so how do you? So now they announce you. You walk out, looking all fly as you can be. How do you read that crowd?
Well,
majority of the crowd was his people.
That's the first
time. He pulled a 50 Cent and filled out the front row for every Ja Rule concert.
That was funny.
Really?
He pulled out a 50 on that motherfucker.
But this is the person that really has the biggest burden regarding that is the host.
Okay.
Because the host is the one that comes out and gets that crowd ready.
Yeah.
So that host has to figure out, and he has to, or she has to monitor the room.
And they only get like 15 minutes.
With and different material, boom, 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 and then when they come back, they can let you know, we got a nasty crowd out there. We got an old school crowd out there. We got a.
Oh, so it's almost like almost like a sport if you think about it.
Yeah.
The host being the quarterback, and then
you do your scouting, and that's if you have a good host. That's not always how it goes. Sometimes you have a host that's out there doing what he or she does.
Yeah.
It's going wherever it goes, and then they say,
"Never had that happen to you?"
Good night.
Oh man, I had a host introduce me the first time I did a spot out here on Long Island. It was a friend of mine who was a bouncer at a lot of these clubs, so he started taking me around.
All right.
As I said, the first club I ever worked in was Stand Up New York. It's in Manhattan. The crowd was mixed. And then I did another room at another place, and he was there, and he said, "Yeah, man, you do good with these mixed crowds. Nice white people. These are gentle crowds. I'm going to take you to the hood, and we're going to find out how you do." So
that's messed up, man.
He took me to Manhattan proper, which was in Queens, and I had a good set there. But then he brought me out to Long Island to a spot called Nagasaki's in Hempstead.
Oh, I know it. I know that place very well.
Exactly. And at the time was my man Garfield, who didn't know me at the time.
All right.
But my intro was, the security guy got a friend of his, man, that he says is funny.
That's not cool.
And I'm going to bring this motherfucker up. I'm going to go get something to eat. When I come back, let me know how he does. His name's Sinck, Stink. What's his name?
That's dope. Bro, that's funny.
I was like, oh, shit. So he says, that motherfucker, come on up. And I came out, I was like, holy shit, this son of a bitch. So I started to do the stuff that I did at the spot. I said, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm 55 today, or whatever I was, 33 today. I said, I'm 33 today. And they start to clap. I was like, well, I was 33 yesterday and the day before, but y'all feeling generous. They're like, yeah, word, nigga.
Come up in here lying already.
Exactly. So they're like, okay, we give you that shit, but I wasn't really happy about that, motherfucker. It made me look stupid. So as I went on, these motherfuckers was looking, and back then, everybody took their cue from Showtime at the Apollo.
Yeah, I bet.
So there were people that were waiting to boo you, waiting to do the siren sound, and the minute you had a little gap with the laughter, there was always somebody that would be a little restless, and there were people that get genuine pleasure out of seeing other people.
Yeah,
that's my next question. Are you a good heckler diffuser?
Absolutely.
Because you the DL Ugly of the
coming up in Brooklyn,
okay,
we were raised on snapping.
Yeah.
Okay, some people call it ranking, whatever. They're playing the dozens, but somebody said something about you. You have to come back.
You better come back strong.
You look them up and down.
Yeah.
There's always something
that
you can get on.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Even if the motherfucker's dressed nice, if you were he was in class with you last year, and the dude pissed on himself, you can go back to that shit.
My shit was my nose. Like, oh, you gonna go there with my nose? Okay. I could be fly as a motherfucker. Yeah, your big ass nose.
And you see, when you're on stage, depending on what your material is or what your strength is, you could turn that person into whatever you need him or her to be, because everybody else can't see him.
And you gotta look at his neighbor.
Yeah.
If it's a bad, like an ugly girl or something, you just rag on the neighbor.
Say, if you got a whole bunch of jokes about motherfuckers with big heads, it don't matter.
Yeah.
He becomes a big head motherfucker.
Yeah.
Nobody else knows.
He gonna go along with it. I got a big ass head.
You have the power of the mic.
Yep.
So that was huge back then.
Okay.
Audiences are so very docile now. And
it's
everybody
horrible.
gets an applause because you went up there and you tried it.
Yeah.
Which now leads to a whole bunch of weak motherfuckers calling themselves comedians.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody thinks they can become a comedian now. Look at T.I. Like,
and there's no fear. There's no fear.
I don't mind people, trying to do what they want to do in life, but I feel like comedians, they feel like that's an easy. I'll just be a comedian.
Well, see, that's the thing. If comedians do their job properly, it looks easy.
Yeah,
and it encourages other people to think, wait, I could do that. Will Smith was doing it. Will Smith, for a period of time, had said, "Yo, I'm going to get into stand-up comedy." And Will Smith has a good sense of humor.
Yeah,
right.
He's not it though.
But Will Smith started to think that he was funnier than he was, and was on the Arsenio Hall show with George Wallace, who's a beast.
Oh yeah, George Wallace. Yeah.
And he started snapping on George Wallace.
Oh no!
And George was like, "Word,
really?
You gonna do this on live TV too?
Exactly.
Like this is not even a club.
I got a whole bunch in the chamber for you right now.
And then Will made the mistake of doing a mama joke, and George Wallace said, "They didn't tell you backstage I'm the East and West Coast distributor of mama jokes, boy." And then he started to undress this motherfucker. And after that, Will Smith's comedy career was I'll do the movies.
I'll go double platinum on my records.
He looked at George Wallace like, "I'll be good."
He'd just be a comedic actor at that point. Yeah.
Who inspired you growing up? Like, who was your main two? Like, I'm sure Richard Pryor was in there.
Richard Pryor, you couldn't come up without
Eddie Murphy.
Paul Mooney.
Eddie
took it. Eddie's the first comedian to become a rock star comedian.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Okay, Delirious and
That's
Raw.
hilarious. Yeah,
so those is only two, right?
Leather ass.
Yeah, well, he didn't have to do anything.
That's why he made music after that. For a short period of time.
Eddie, everybody in this game has bombed. Okay, forget what I don't give a fuck what they tell you.
I find his brother to be funnier though.
Well, you find Charlie funnier
Charlie
than Eddie.
was
Eddie Murphy said that too. He mentioned that. He said because he's my older brother, I took a lot from him. And but Charlie knew that I had the angle because it was a different generation. He knew I had to go. I could go further with it. So he was like, just go.
Eddie was more palatable.
Yes,
and Eddie understood the art form more than Charlie did.
Yeah.
In this setting, Charlie is unbelievable. Just having a conversation, which is why Dave Chappelle, when he was on the Dave Chappelle show, created the segment. Him and Neil Brennan created the segment you know, Charlie's true Hollywood stories because sitting around during breaks, they were falling on the floor. Yeah. They were like, yo, we got to get this into the show. Because when Charlie starts to tell the show, you know, we walked up to Rick James and the motherfucker.
Oh, R.I.P. to Charlie. I miss him so much.
Remember the slave skit?
Yeah.
When he shot
the time travel back to the
He's like, this is where the whole skit stopped.
You know, they said that because what is it? They pieced together this whole clip of him, right? And they say he just naturally moves.
Yeah.
So like when he's not even saying that, he's just like.
When they were doing the players, the picks. Yeah. They said, okay, Ray, just when they say, do we have sound? Charlie would start. Start getting into character. Yo, Charlie Murphy was a beast, man. I had the pleasure of knowing his uncle Ray.
All right.
Nice.
And Uncle Ray would do local spots. He'd come to a spot that I used to host in Brooklyn. And I remember one of the first times Charlie decided to do the stand-up, he was opening for Mike Epps.
Oh, wow.
Who's another friend of mine who was grinding in New York, too, before he became who he became. And we were it was called the Nokia Theater at that time, the smaller theater.
I know that one, yeah.
Yeah,
I know
Madison Square Garden, smaller theater.
Okay.
Is it Best Buy at one point?
It's been a bunch of
something.
things.
Yeah,
it was Paramount, Nokia, whoever got the money to change the name. And I don't even know what it is now. But I was sitting next to Uncle Ray when Charlie was introduced.
All right.
And Uncle Ray was like, oh, this corny motherfucker here. Oh, man, when are they going to bring out a real comedian? Fuck this motherfucker. I'm like, God damn. Look at this shit.
I was like, ain't that your fan?
Exactly.
Yeah, where? Like, he's a nephew.
My nephew, but I know the motherfucker.
Yeah, I know the motherfucker.
He's going. So, and then after we started talking, he said, man, you look like you could be a Murphy. Man, come backstage. And he actually brought me backstage. It was cool because Mike knew me.
Okay.
And he was like, yo, we can meet my man Sinck. He's like, he was sitting next to me outside. We just started kicking it backstage, but he didn't give Charlie a break. And Charlie had a good set. Charlie had a decent set, but Uncle Ray was killing him.
That's
how long you know Mike Epps for?
Oh, me and Mike go back at least 20, 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like grew up together, or?
No, Mike is from Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah. But when Mike got into the comedy set, he came to New York, and Mike was grinding, baby. One of the biggest shows that we did together was, the last show that I did with Mike, I opened for him at Syracuse University.
Okay.
Okay.
He was the headliner of the show there. I happened to be in Syracuse because I was hosting a show for Blue Magic.
All right.
And something happened to his opener. So he called the promoter that I was working for because he knew she was a Syracuse promoter. He said, listen, I need an opener, and is there anybody local that can come over to the college real quick and do like a set for me? So she said, well, I'm doing the Blue Magic concert. Sinck is in town. He said, Sinck? Yo, put the nigga on the phone.
Yeah.
We started chopping it up
right away. Right?
And, you know, it was just working the logistics between the two show times. And their show was at like 6 o'clock in the evening, and the Blue Magic shit didn't start till 8, so it worked out perfect. It was only 20 minutes of distance.
All right.
So I ran over to Syracuse, did that, and then ran back. And it was just good being around Mike, man. Mike is one of the most genuine cats that you could ever be around. And Mike's grind was honest. I mean, he did a one-man show when we were still pretty early in our game. And when you do a one-man show about your own life, it's an open book, big.
Yeah.
You know, when you reveal certain things, like Mike started talking about the dudes that used to hang out on the corner and the gamblers and shit like that, and dudes that used to send them to the store, and him and his siblings, you know, with their moms, and moms was trying to raise them by herself, and she was doing the best she can. And then Mike said, yo, I want some brand new tennis shoes. That's what they call sneakers in Indiana.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I don't have money to get you any tennis shoes. You got to wear the ones you got on. If you want some new ones, you need to ask your daddy. He said, well, if I knew who my daddy was, I'd ask the motherfucker. So she said, you see Ace, the motherfucker you pass on the corner all the time,
oh, Lord,
playing dice and shit like. Ask that motherfucker for the tennis shoes. He was like, that nigga's
like
my
time out,
pops.
time out.
Exactly. And this is a dude that he has known from being one of the dudes that hang out in the corner.
That's funny.
That would send him to the store to get shit. He just knew him that way. He never knew that.
Go to
that
the
was
store,
his
son.
pop. Exactly.
Like what?
He not even call him son. Nigga, come here, little nigga.
Oh, whip your ass.
Exactly. And that's how Mike found out who his father was.
So I cut you off earlier. Your influence was Richard Pryor,
Red
Eddie Murphy,
Fox.
Red Fox. Oh,
Red
man.
Fox.
I was a huge Red Fox fan. Sanford and Son.
I watched that religiously.
Oh,
shit, really?
It's the big one.
When it first came on Friday night, Channel 4, 8 o'clock.
Oh man.
And me and that man's father, his father can go through Sanford and Son and the Odd Couple episodes word for fucking word.
He's not lying. I legit just brought him like a couple of months ago the whole complete set of Sanford and Son. He's not lying.
Your father.
Damn.
That show, man, I watched that religiously.
Red Fox was a beast.
Yeah, he
Trust
was.
me when I tell you. And people, like you say, go to Richard Pryor first, but Red was one of Richard Pryor's influences. I have love and admiration for Bill Cosby and Sinbad.
He kind of started it a little bit, Bill Cosby.
Well, Bill Cosby was that cat
All
that
over
was
the
a
place.
mainstream celebrity as a black man when there were very few.
Yep.
You know, he was the co-star of a show called I Spy.
I Spy. Yep.
With Robert Cope.
And he was the first one actually to make black stunt doubles because he was tired of white people stunting as him when they would do like stunt moves.
Sound like something Bill Cosby do.
So he was the first official guy to he's like, I want a black guy as my stunt double. The first black person.
I had no idea.
That's crazy.
And this is why
on that show.
This is the reason why what has happened to Bill recently. It's hard for people that know him to swallow.
No, yeah, that's understandable.
There's a lot of other shit that goes along with that. First of all, Bill Cosby wanted to buy NBC and had the money and the means to do it.
He bought the Little Rascals.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and he bought he made a Little Bill show
and that's
so
valuable.
black people could watch a show that relate to them.
And the Cosby Show,
and
the cartoon, Fat Albert.
Oh,
he did the Cosby Kids. Exactly.
He did that.
But what people don't realize is that when he wanted to buy NBC, that's something that America wasn't even ready to swallow. A black man running a major branch of media.
It's like when Michael Jackson bought Sony. They weren't thinking.
They weren't trying to hear that either.
But he did, though.
But they can control that.
He owns 50% of it.
Now, when you talking about NBC, now they don't mind giving Oprah something like OWN.
Yeah, a channel.
Because the circulation is so much smaller. If he's going to own NBC,
be all black.
There's a problem. Now, when I went to New York Institute of Technology for communications.
Okay.
And one of the first classes I got was a radio class. And before you can broadcast anything across the radio waves regarding news, it has to come from UPI, the United Press International, or the AP ticker, the Associated Press. You can't broadcast anything that doesn't come off those two clickers.
All right.
Right away, as a freshman, my wheels started turning, saying, so they can control what it is that you broadcast.
Yep.
Because anything that comes across those tickets, they've already censored and taken out what they didn't want.
Yeah, you can't just put anything raw.
You can't just say anything. It's not anything about language. That's the FCC's job. It's about content.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you said that.
And things like that. Bill Cosby was going to reach out to.
And things that,
what do you think about the whole situation, Bill? I know, like you said, it's hard to swallow. But in my opinion, from researching it, that shit was going on. It's like our e-pill. Like, it was going on.
I laughed because the first episode he called it the Spanish flu.
What was it?
Spanish fly?
The Spanish flu.
I'm sick.
But see, this is the thing. I don't drink alcohol.
All right.
I have an alcohol wagon at my crib for friends that
want to drink it. So yeah.
Back when Bill Cosby was a young man, those drugs that he was talking about were recreational drugs. Quaaludes. You know, the Spanish Fly. Spanish Fly was a myth, really. I don't even know if that shit even exists, but they all talked about it from when we were kids.
That was the name for
Give
it.
a girl the Spanish Fly.
Yeah.
You know, that became
he said it on the Saturday Night Show in like the 80s.
Exactly.
He said it live on the show. Like,
and it wasn't any big
It wasn't
deal.
no problem.
Exactly. And there were women that would come over and say, look, I need a little something to relax. What you have to also do is put yourself in the shoes of those women that go to a man's house and he passes you 2 pills and you swallow them. Really, without finding out what that is or what it's gonna, how it's gonna affect you. Now, I'm not saying if he's making a woman unconscious or something, he's right to do that. I doubt that.
What he did was wrong. Well, but it was being done.
Well, this is the thing. As we just said, Bill Cosby was one of the first major black celebrities years ago. Bill Cosby had women coming out the woodwork. Yeah. Trust and believe. The part of Bill Cosby's relationship with these women that you never hear him talk about is the adultery part, because Camille knew about it. Camille arranged something.
I didn't even think about that. That's
exactly.
true. Yeah,
I wasn't married that part either. Yeah.
Because 1%ers are allowed to do that.
Camille even arranged some of these meetings. You know, so that part of it was never really discussed. The thing was, when Bill Cosby was trying to get NBC the first time, they took his son. When Ennis Cosby was killed, all the media said was that he had stopped to help some people change a tire. 2 guys came up behind him and killed him. They didn't say it was a robbery. They didn't say that he had a vendetta. And there was never any, oh, we got to find the guys that killed Ennis Cosby. It was a message. And I think Bill, as far as I could tell, ingested that message. He digested the message and knew what it was about. Left it alone. He continues his career. Pretty soon it comes up again. You know what? I think I want to buy NBC. And there's a lot of other things in between that. It's not just about buying NBC, but people don't realize that when the Cosby Show was on, that morphed into different world.
Yeah. It's about ownership.
There was that was a period of the largest enrollment of students, minority students in this country.
I remember growing up on that. I remember seeing that. That was a big deal.
Well, that was with Jada Pinkett, right?
And it made...
She was on the show, but no, that was a Jasmine Guy.
Jasmine Guy was one. It was actually created for Denise Huxtable, Lisa Bonet.
Yeah, the spinoff.
Yeah, she was in it too. Yeah,
because it was based on her.
Oh.
Right, that's the spinoff basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Her going to college.
And what's that comedian name?
Like Grownish.
He just passed away a few years ago. I think a year ago.
That was in Different World?
Yeah, light-skinned comedian.
He didn't pass away. Sinbad?
Sinbad. Didn't he pass away?
No, he had a stroke, man.
Oh, I thought
don't put death on Sinbad. What's wrong with you?
Sorry, Sinbad.
Sinbad's the man.
I thought he died. I was going to say.
Oh, but you said he's... And you know, that's crazy because somebody had put that had put that on social media.
I was sad.
And his daughter...
I was sad.
His daughter was away at school. And she was hysterical when she saw it on social media.
Oh, I did read about that.
I thought he died. I was like, all right.
Nah, Sinbad's still here. He is recovering from a stroke.
Yeah, because he had the stroke, and then he didn't, because right before his stroke, he was still kind of doing little things here and there.
Oh, let's put it out there. Isn't he the real Shazam?
We don't speak about that.
What a life he had, though.
Yo, they think Shaq is the real Shazam, and no. Sinbad. I seen it.
That's not even. He's not even the real Sinbad. Exactly. It's a real Sinbad.
You talking about the movie Sinbad? Yeah, with that big brolic ass dude.
It was actually a cartoon called Sinbad. He was a pirate that had a belt. He would pull the belt and shit would tighten that.
It's on Popeye. That's one of my favorite ones.
Sinbad had a life, man. He really did.
Well, Sinbad,
he was in the Air Force. He quit the Air Force.
People don't realize about Sinbad. I had a friend that worked on a boat with Sinbad, and it was a week-long gig. They had to do 5 shows.
All right.
He said Sinbad blew the roof off of that goddamn ship.
I bet.
All 5 shows didn't repeat a single joke.
That's the other thing about Sinbad.
Now that's talent.
5 different sets.
The other thing about Sinbad,
these new comedians. Sorry to cut you off. These new comedians be repeating the hell out of themselves.
Well, that's the thing. The thing about Sinbad also, well, he really got really big of it. He never cursed in anything.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
Never.
He was clean.
Him and Cosby kept it clean, and I used to admonish younger comedians that were coming behind me. I said, listen, always develop a clean set. Get known for your clean material because that opens up your market.
You get on NBC.
I said, you love Eddie Murphy, you love Red Fox, but you would only see them in movies
or
late
night
interviews. But you wouldn't see them hawking
primetime day
anybody's product, doing commercials and things like that, or primetime TV.
Well, that's kind of like with Martin Lawrence, because
Exactly.
he got banned from Saturday Night Live.
Really?
You know, so yeah, because he's Martin
He was
Lawrence.
just on there.
Was
He
he?
just did a come to because it's so weird. Him and Eddie Murphy, his daughter is marrying his son, Eddie Murphy's son.
Yeah. That's right.
So yeah, like he was
Really,
like,
Martin's
Yeah.
daughter
Yeah.
is married.
He said, "I hope they come out with a super comedian."
Yeah, right. Like,
He's about like, I can't get rid of
out
him.
the womb, like.
What's that?
I'm done.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's funny though. How that
But
happened.
they're peers.
Yeah, they life.
You
They
know,
were on
Martin,
the movie Life
Martin,
together.
Exact Life, and then Boomerang.
Boomerang.
together.
Yeah.
Well, remember, Martin, he's said many times he's looked up to him. Like,
course.
yeah, he's
I
looked
bet.
up to him.
Of course, of course.
Martin's
Because
definitely
Martin
dope.
got his start. He was a stand-up comedian too. You know what I
Well,
mean?
Martin got his start as a
House
legit
Party.
actor.
He got it on House Party.
Okay.
He was on What's Happening.
Yes,
when they
yes.
had the sequel, What's Happening Now.
Ah,
And he was
gotcha.
a regular
an
character
actor.
on that. He's
Okay,
an
okay.
actor
Yeah.
first.
He was in House Party. That was his like.
No, I know that.
He was a
I know
DJ.
that.
He
He
was
was a
big,
DJ.
he
Yeah,
was big.
exactly.
But he
I know that
had
part.
become a comedian by that time.
He was working like at an appliance store or something.
Martin
Him
had
and
done
Kid
a
and
lot of
Play.
stuff.
They all worked at the same appliance store.
When
So
Martin
weird.
was
And Salt and
doing
Pepper.
comedy, I used to. My brother used to live in a part of Maryland called. It doesn't matter, but they used to have a comedy store down there called the Comedy Connection.
Okay.
And I'm talking to the manager at the Comedy Connection, and he said, "Yeah, Martin was one of the comedians that used to come out here, but." When we used to see him like walking through the parking lot on his way here, we would turn the lights off and pretend like the spot was closed.
Damn!
'Cause he said
Click.
Martin
Yeah, word.
Martin
Like,
just used to bomb all the time.
Really?
But Martin was so determined, he kept grinding. But these guys were like, the comedians were complaining that this guy would wear the crowd out with the bullshit he was doing, then they got to bring him back. But Martin almost bombed the first time he was on the Apollo.
Really?
Because he
Damn.
started talking about the history of the Apollo, and the crowd was like, "Motherfucker, we didn't come
Okay,
here
talk about
these walls." And you know, he was just in awe. But then, you know, he did something about a girl, and then became the girl like he does Shanae,
Yeah.
and pulled the audience back in, and
I know Def
you know,
Jam
they
when
kept
he
it
did
restless. Oh, yeah.
Over there.
Martin is a kid that was he was a problem in class because he was an active, you know, what they call ADD.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, just you can't sit your ass down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the teacher used to have to give him time, promise him time at the end of the day
Oh, wow.
to entertain the class,
Wow.
to get him to sit down.
Wow.
And Martin will tell you, man, he was the problem for a lot of people because he was always amped like that.
What he did for that show though,
Oh,
the Martin show.
Let me tell you something, man.
Shanae
The
and-
Martin show,
Oh my God.
the Martin show was meteoric.
It was amazing.
The way it hit the airwaves and the amount of celebrities that it had on its storylines and the
Yep.
way you fell in love with those characters, and you know, it was so well done, and it was a sad thing when they got into the last season. There was some friction
You
between
could tell he
him
wasn't
and,
in the episodes a
well,
lot.
him and
Yeah.
Tisha Campbell.
Yeah, they got into it because
He was dating. He was dating Pam. for a
Well,
while.
it wasn't that. Tisha was already married to Dwayne Martin.
Yeah.
But from what I heard, it's a rumor that he had done something on stage that she didn't really appreciate, and she got very offended, and she said, "I will not be shot on camera with him." So they had to create episodes where she got a
Yeah.
job in
York,
California,
yeah.
and he was still in Detroit.
Yeah.
And that just takes away from it at that point. You know,
It
it's
did.
not
You
the
could
same.
tell it looked
Yeah.
different. Like, he
and
wasn't
Martin's
even-
energy wasn't the
Yeah,
same.
you could tell he
man.
wasn't even in
Yeah.
episodes a lot.
And he was on some kind of medication at the time where his eyes weren't even the Martin eyes that you were used to. So that last season, I think it was season 5.
How
That
you
was the
know
last
that's
one,
How you know that's a perfect show? Because the show wouldn't have been the same without anybody on that cast. If they would have without anybody on that cast, it wouldn't have been.
Well, yeah, look, you just said look at the last season. The last season it went down.
No,
that was
like
it.
Cole, what Cole brought to that show.
Who's on the circuit right now?
Oh my God! And Pam was good. BDB, that whole connection with the BDB
with the buckshots.
Remember the vacation when he took her on the cereal box vacation? The big ass rat.
Hennigan's Island.
Yeah. Fucking Neon Lolly Love beating the shit out of the.
So I gotta ask.
Holding out the window.
Him and Pam
I gotta ask. We're talking about so many legends and people that we grew up with, and then the legend what they grew up with. What do you think of how comedy is today? You know, how you think things have changed and everything?
Well, as I said, we're in a time when people are super sensitive.
Yeah.
You know, they don't really appreciate the fact that when you come into a comedy club, we're gonna take down all this sensitivity shit. We're coming here to laugh,
have fun,
yeah. And then we go back out into the real world, and we can be the respectful human beings to everybody that we need to be.
Right.
But if I happen to make a joke and I use the word midget, you're not supposed to start picketing in the middle of the fucking comedy show because I use the word midget.
It's the gay culture.
That's the
you say that, all of a sudden you're against midgets.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
It's the source.
And I got to take my hat off and applaud Kevin Hart because one of his dreams was to host the Oscars.
Yeah, I remember that story.
And when the opportunity came, and then they go 10 years back into his material and say, well, you did this, that, the other thing. We want you to apologize.
He apologized.
No, he didn't.
Not at first.
That's why he didn't. That's why he didn't do the show.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you are not giving people the luxury of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
None of us is the same person we were 10 years ago.
Exactly.
We have different opinions, different feelings. We may be on opposite sides of the political coin. The people that were Democrats 10 years ago that are Republicans now.
Yeah, more people are changing now. I read
exactly.
it.
That's what tells me about the Cosby thing, though. Then,
and that's the
how
thing.
can you bring it up? He's a total different man.
Because they're coming out.
And
that's
that
what
was
it is.
the other thing.
When the time was allowed.
No, I know, but once one person come out, all of a sudden everybody come out.
All of those women that claimed he had violated them were outside of the statute of limitations.
Mm-hmm.
The one that they got him on was an 11th hour statute of limitations going to end in a half hour, so let's shove this forward and file the petition.
Mm-hmm.
And she looked like somebody's uncle. I was like, of all the women that you could have been with, this is the one that you're going to go down for? And Cosby was protected by the deal that he made with
to get
the
him out of jail.
attorney.
Yeah, and then the judge had a grudge with that district attorney.
Isn't that the reason why they released him though?
Yeah.
The
judge had a grudge.
He had immunity.
He's out. He got out. Yeah.
He had immunity, so he was in a position where he could answer any question that he wanted, but you couldn't prosecute him because he had signed that agreement.
The judge resurfaced it because he had a grudge with the district attorney because I think the district attorney was sleeping with the judge's wife or something. And so he had a serious grudge about it, so he brung it up. He didn't even care.
Well, isn't technically with something like that, he's not supposed to even be in that case, right?
He's not even he shouldn't even went to jail.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah, shouldn't be in that case, yeah.
But I didn't even know about all that. That's some Tyler Perry shit.
Yeah, so it was some deep shit. Like that's why the judge resurfaced it. He shouldn't even step foot in jail.
Exactly.
Really, if you think about it.
Legally, he should have never been prosecuted.
Never.
So I know we talking about Bill Cosby and everything.
Well, I was gonna say.
Let's talk about our guest, man.
Oh, yeah, well,
he's here, man.
Comedian.
I know, but he's putting us up on game.
Hey, I didn't fuck anybody that didn't ask for it. Let's just put that out there. Okay?
He said, I ain't slipped nobody no pills. Nobody came for me to relax.
Not at all. I had cameras on every one of these bitches. So, they can't come up with any stories.
What was that Dave Chappelle shit? The release that they had to sign,
when you signed the waiver.
Yep.
You would do that? No. Okay. Check the box there.
Check the box.
Nick Cannon got an app now. He's making an app where it's like a consensual app. Like you could.
Wouldn't that just
exactly
like that, to me? That's let's talk about our guest.
He got that from Dave Chappelle.
So probably did. So what I believe with the way I feel like comedians can't do their job anymore. I feel like it's a lost art in the sense of you can't say what you want, and I think the big drift of it is the gay community. They have really put a stress on the fact that
sense of political correctness has really swung the pendulum way over into the other direction, and the gay community is part of it. molested women with the Me Too movement is part of it. Everybody has a little something that now you can't talk about. It's one of the reasons why Steve Harvey said that he's not doing stand-up
people go
anymore.
that hard though on like abusive women and Me Too movement on the comedian world? I feel like it's more the gay thing. It's always been the gay thing.
But see, if you think about it, and I would like to think that I haven't been affected by it because my material really wasn't harsh at any particular group. You know, I do a lot of current events things and things about old school and growing up or what have you. But, you know, when you're hosting and things happen before you, you have to be quick on your feet, like you were asking before about hecklers or what have you. So it could come into play very quickly.
Yeah, that's just a part of the show.
But the thing with what's going on now is that anytime you say anything about anybody, there's somebody. That's offended.
Somebody.
And yeah, well, and you would think that you're not affected by it, but if you go listen to some of those old Def Jam tapes now, you almost cringe.
That's what I love, though. Like, that's what a comedian world's supposed to be, a safe haven. The fact that anything goes.
We can laugh.
And why take it so serious?
We can laugh.
It's been here generations to generation. Why so serious? And a comedian said that, too. He's like, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the subject, but I'm not talking directly at you to be like, oh, I feel so offended. Like,
I mean, take the AGT comedians that go on there. They special need ones too, and they make fun of themselves, so you can't do it.
Exactly.
And the judges love the whole shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if you throw in a little bit of naughty stuff in your jokes, the audience love it. Simon go crazy. Oh, I love when you're a little naughty.
For the history of comedians, they always hackled their own self. Like blacks, they would talk about black people. Like, they were like, black people this, black people can't get a job, blah, blah, blah.
That like technique is used to disarm potential hecklers.
Exactly.
I'll talk about
you rag on yourself.
What's obvious, so that the guy that was sitting there thinking that he was going to crack on me about that, now I've taken all your material away from me.
Exactly.
But you know, it's a sad time that we're in. I've been blessed to travel to the UK 3 times a year since 1999.
I was going to ask you, have you traveled?
I used to do a lot of touring in the UK. I've been fortunate enough to work up in Canada, in the Caribbean, various islands in the Caribbean. I've been on the left coast in California, what have you. I've done things along the East Coast and down south, Florida, Virginia,
Chicago,
South Carolina. I haven't performed in Chicago yet.
I heard Chicago.
Chicago's off the chain. And their comedians are...
Bernie and all that.
Bernie, Robin Harris, my man Mark Simmons.
They're not playing.
Who's lesser known.
Chicago not playing when it comes to comedians. And like Detroit area.
Detroit, exactly. Well, you know, the thing about New York comedians is that we're one of the few groups of comedians that promoters will ask for based on geographic area.
Well, wouldn't that be smart though in that sense? Like, that's almost like a marketing thing.
It is
right?
a marketing thing.
Yeah. But when we did BET's Comic View, when they were taping it in Atlanta, Ricky Smiley was the host.
You was on one of the episodes?
I was.
Yo, not to cut you off. This man's been talking about Ricky Smiley for like the last.
I love Comic View. I used to stay up late just to watch it because I used to laugh my ass off, and I was young as shit. I used to laugh my ass off
with Ricky Smiley, and I was on the following season when Bruce was the host.
Bruce.
Bruce
is a beast too. But me and another comedian named Poetic Justice, who's also from New York. And we happened to grow up in the same neighborhood, but we were down there taping for the same segment of shows. We were standing outside of the dressing room. We had put our stuff on. And one of the crew members came up to us and said, yo, you guys, would you be comedians from New York? We said, yeah. He said, well, we could tell from the way you were dressed. You guys are New York comedians. Because we
had a Kango hat on.
Poetic and I, our appearance is as much about our show as about, you know, as the material coming out of our mouths. And I tell people all the time, it's always good to get people to start to listen before you even say a word. You know, whether they like what you have on or not, people look at you when you're dressed and like, who the fuck is this guy? So you immediately snatch their attention. Poetic and I of the same school of thought regarding our appearance. So we were standing there, and this guy came up to us, you guys are from New York? We said, yeah. He said, okay, I'm going to let the rest of the crew know because we look forward to New York comedians because the material, we don't know where it's coming from. He said everybody else from all over the country, more or less, was, yo, black people do this, but white people do that. And white people do it this way, but when black people do it, and they say, you know, after being on the crew and you watching comedian after comedian after comedian,
it gets old.
It gets very old.
Yeah.
And I've always told people that my goal when I'm performing, let's say I go on tour or I have a weekend at a certain venue, I watch the staff. If I can make the staff that's hearing comedians day in and day out move, I know the crowd is going to move.
Okay.
Because that waitress, she's there for all of these cats.
Right.
And she's heard them all. But if you can get her to giggle, the folks that are sitting down there paying to come in there, they're going to have a hell of a time.
Yeah.
Because it's special for them.
Gotcha, yeah.
So, you know, while we were doing Comic View, and Comic View is a special little beast because...
I remember the show. I
loved Comic View, bro.
Comic View was amazing, but the secret with Comic View is that when Comic View was aired, they weren't held to the same standard that network TV was held to. And when I say that, they didn't have to pay comedians scale wages.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sorry, not to cut you off. I was just thinking because the Comic View was on BET.
BET.
That was regular cable.
It was regular cable, and I happened to get into the Screen Actors Guild pretty early in my career because I booked a commercial with Miller Lite.
Oh, that's what?
So you get an invitation. You can do a union gig without being in the union the first time, but then you get an invitation to join the union. And you have to join the union if you want to do union gigs down the road.
They don't give you a choice, basically.
They're not fucking with you.
Yeah.
He's like, playing it simple. I'm like, cut it straight.
That's how you keep...
You going to be cool with us, right?
That's right.
I guess so.
That's how you keep the union strong. And at the time, it cost $1,200 for me to get into the union. That was back in the early 90s.
Felt like $5 grand.
Damn,
my daughter,
I'm about to say.
my first daughter, who's an actress as well, she graduated from Stanford in 2001.
Okay.
And I had promised her that when it was time for her to get her Screen Actors Guild card, I would pay her initiation fee. The last time she talked to me, she said it was $3,500 to get in.
Damn.
I was like, you know,
it went up.
I might not be your real father.
She's like, I'm taking you to Maury, Dad. You're not dancing your way out of this one.
Like, I just found this out.
We don't look alike.
Exactly. Say, you know what? I got some questions for your mom.
He's like the damn sags.
Oh man.
So, you know, BET didn't have to deal with union wages.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people got exploited. Bob Johnson was the CEO and proprietor of BET at the time. When they were doing Comic View in L.A., and it was a contest format, when D.L. Hughley was the host.
Yeah. HBO.
And, you know, as you win, you would stay, and then new comedians would come on, and they would judge, and then the winner would stay.
Okay.
They were getting $150.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's like a set?
Damn.
$150.
That was at the club, right?
Exactly. When BET on TV,
Yeah.
when D.L. Hughley was hosting Comic View,
he took that from.
they were getting $150.
Wait, so this is before MTV brought BET?
Yeah.
Exactly.
He
Before
took that from
Viacom bought BET or what
Okay.
have you. And $150, if you lived around the corner, it was still insulting, but you had something in your pocket.
Yeah.
Especially for New York.
They're not paying your airfare. They weren't paying your hotel. You had to kick all of that out. If you had a regular job like I did,
right,
you had to take days off from there. So they came up to me like 3 times. Promoters in New York said, Sinck, they want to know if you're interested in doing Comic View.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not going to pay to do their show.
Right.
And it's on BET that had commercials, the whole 9. And the real salt in the wound was, at the time, there was a show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous with Robin Leach. And Bob Johnson was on that, drinking champagne in a pool that he called his bathtub and showing how much money he had. But here you are exploiting these young comedians that are trying to make it.
But I'm assuming that you would think that you would think, oh well, they get paid $150 and they're on TV. They should be happy. I guess that was their mindset,
that's
right?
the mindset.
Yeah.
There's 20 million people that's going to see you. Well, if you're not flashing my name and my contact information,
give me a show after this motherfucker.
Wait, what made you change your mind and go on to Comic View?
Comic View, after litigation, Comic View was now held to and cable was held to the same standard as network TV.
Oh, okay.
So when I did Comic View, I was already in SAG. They had to pay me $1,200 for 10 minutes.
Makes sense now.
Yeah, he was like, "I'll be there tomorrow."
Right? Like, now I'll be on Comic View. 9 minutes and 58 seconds.
I'm on way. Exactly, and you can mark that with the Ricky Smiley years in Atlanta. That was the first year that cable had to be held to the same standard as network TV. My first network appearance was Showtime at the Apollo in '96.
All right.
And because it's a union house, the rate at that time was $123 a minute.
Yeah.
So they pay you for 10 minutes.
Holy shit.
And then they edit it down from there. And then every time they broadcast it again, you get residuals. Cable didn't have to be held to that standard. Same thing with
did you own
Def
your own
Jam
catalog? Like when that happened, like the residual?
No,
part?
what you do when you do that set, that's their property.
That's their property.
So they
have their.
That's
oh, because you don't sign nothing technically.
Well, you sign.
It's a work for hire, if I'm correct.
Exactly.
Catalog.
That's your property. That set, you can do with it what you want, but you're going to pay me anytime you broadcast it.
Gotcha.
And residuals get lower and lower, so they're only for a period of time.
Isn't that the same thing that Dave Chappelle went through, basically?
With
the
Comedy
show?
Central?
Yeah, right?
No, they wanted them
that
to
was
change
a different
whole
thing.
segment.
His formula was going to get changed.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle, the Dave Chappelle show
him.
was the baby born of him and Neil Brennan.
Yeah.
They created that show. And they were just paid by Comedy Central. Look, we're going to give you a comedy show. You guys do what you do. Which is why the early shows, when he comes out to intro to the audience, he would always say, we still here, but we going to see. Because their whole thing was about pushing the envelope.
Yeah. Oh, they pushed it.
Oh, yeah.
They pushed it.
With the nigga family and
That shit was hilarious and probably the most watched comedy show or maybe show of any type in cable history.
Yeah.
And by the time they had the third season, because when they came back from the second season, Dave was like, yo, I don't believe it, but we back for another season. And we're going to see how far we can push it this time.
It was amazing.
I ain't going to front. My boy from Brooklyn put me onto that show.
Oh, yeah?
When we was overseas. Yeah.
Oh, that show was crazy.
And the third season was when they, if I understand it correctly, they offered them $50 million for the third season, but we're going to put all these writers in, and we're going to do this, and we're going to touch that, and now you've taken the organic element out of it, man. The thing that made it special.
Yeah. I mean, he tried to say it on Oprah, basically. He was like, they try to make him wear a dress. They try
all
to
kinds
do
of shit.
All kinds
Dave
of shit.
will talk to you about, mysterious people like the Illuminati and shit like that, but without saying it, Dave was like, they're forces beyond what we can talk about.
So you've met Dave before?
Yeah, I met Dave. I used to host a comedy. Well, it actually was a live music show at a spot called Cafe Wa.
Okay.
Cafe Wa is in the same building as the Comedy Cellar on McDougal Street in the Village.
That place is nice. I've never been, but I've seen that because I watched somebody do comedy. You just go straight downstairs. It's a little intimate little thing.
Tiny,
beautiful.
Tiny,
beautiful.
And you're right there. And above the comedy room is a restaurant where people go to just eat, and the comics hang out in there. If you walk through that restaurant, you'll see on a regular Dave Chappelle or Chris Rock will be hanging out in there. When Kevin Hart has to come to New York, he usually hangs out in there. A lot of my friends, God willing, God rest his soul, Patrice O'Neal used to be a regular there. Will Sylvans, that was the place to hang out. And then on the other side of it was Cafe Wa, was a music venue, and they used to have something called Funk Night Tuesdays. And I used to host that along with Will Sylvans, and we would intro the band that would come up and play for people, and then we had an open mic segment. But before they would go to the open mic segment, there was a break So rather than just having people mill around, they had us do a set of comedy while the people were waiting for the band to pick up for their second set.
All right.
And Dave Chappelle's come through there. There used to be a club called the Boston Comedy Club down in the Village that used to have a big comedy show on Sundays that was hosted by Talent, and Will Sylvans and Dave used to come through there and do, and these guys at that level, you're not getting paid by that room because that room can't pay you.
Yeah, you're just doing it for the love of the game.
You're just doing it, and you may have a big gig coming up, like Chris Rock will test market his stuff at those smaller rooms.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't he? Him and Kevin Hart have a show out here soon.
Oh, really?
At the Jones Beach Amphitheater. No, not the Amphitheater. Jones Beach Theater. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I've introed Chris Rock at least 3 times.
Oh wow.
Oh wow, nice.
He's a legend.
I just tell people, listen, ladies and gentlemen, you were here to see whoever you were here to see, but you're not going to see them. It's a special night, and the faces get sullen, and I'll say, because I'm not even going to go through credits, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Rock. And he comes out, boom.
Okay.
They don't give a fuck about who it was.
Right.
He'll be their son.
But y'all thought you wanted to see me. Nah, not anymore, man.
Is this? Get him off the stage. Like.
And there was a time where I was booked at Caroline's, and the manager came up to me and said, hey, Sinck, here's your money for the night. I said, well, damn, kid, I didn't even go on yet. He said, nah, Chris is in the house. He's just going to take the night and work out. So
what?
That's free money right there. I'll take that.
Yeah, sit down in the audience and watch Chris do his thing.
So you're talking about all these different clubs and whatnot. You said you played out here on the island. Mm-hmm. Is it the same atmosphere? Because I feel like there's not too many comedy clubs out here.
No, basically it's Governors and the Brokerage.
Okay.
But back in the day, you had Nagasaki's, you had Cafe Wonderful, you had Giggles. There were a few spots out here that we used to work out in. And the ones that have existed is Governors, which is in Levittown.
Yeah, I know that one.
And the Brokerage. I've never performed at the Brokerage, but I've had a lot of friends.
Where's that one located?
I'm not even sure. But my friends on Long Island, cats that I went to school with, said, hey, listen, let me know when you're booked at the Brokerage. And I've never even gone out there, but those are the 2 main names.
I know they got McGuire's over out here actually.
Oh, okay.
In around Kokomo.
And the thing is that what folks don't know about comedy is a very the word I'm looking for. It's a highly regulated entity.
All right.
There's truth to what Dave Chappelle says about forces that you don't see. That was the problem with Def Comedy Jam. That circumvented that network.
Somebody, I feel like a comedian was on there talking about all this shit, and people were laughing, like Princess Diana, how she died, and it was Queen Elizabeth, and then it was like there was so much truth in what he was saying. Everybody's just like, and I'm like, I'm looking at this shit, I'm like, do y'all know what y'all laughing at?
Exactly.
Like,
that's why I said in the beginning, comedians.
I think it was Bernie Mac that said that. He had a whole segment and he was just like going in.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to things that, there's been attempts to unionize comedians. And the guys that were trying to do it were getting phone calls in the middle of the night, pictures of their kids going to school and that type shit.
Yeah, well, that
because the gatekeepers on comedy, the gatekeepers in music, the gatekeepers in anything that is, sports,
entertainment,
anything that is a large money maker, they want to control that. Exactly. They want to control that.
Yeah.
And anything that is going to threaten that, they're going to suppress it quick, fast, and in a hurry. And it's true with comedy. I go to England, and the guys over there ask me, hey, do you know so-and-so? He's from New York. I said, nah, I don't. I've heard of him. Oh, well, both of you guys come from New York. I figured you would know him because he's a white comedian. He's on the mainstream circuit. I'm not necessarily on the mainstream, not because I'm not welcome there, or that's where I started. My first set, as I said, was at Stand Up New York, which is a mainstream room. But the segregation was so, it's like the Negro Leagues in baseball, Major League Baseball. There is a concerted effort to keep you out of certain rooms.
Its own genres.
Yeah. Exactly.
Gotcha. You think that still exists now?
Oh, without a doubt.
Hell yeah.
Like it's even more crazier now than it was.
I was part of a show at the comic strip, and there was a friend of mine that was promoting it, Bert Smooth, and as I was walking in, the owner was outside telling people not to come in. But he didn't know that I was part of the show.
Wow.
And I had on my shades. I'm walking in, and I'm looking at him, and I'm listening to his conversation he's having with a white couple. And he said, he pointed to me, he said, it's their night tonight.
Oh, wow.
So when I came in, I told the promoter, I said, listen, there's a guy outside that has a comic strip live jacket on. Older gentleman. He said, yeah, that's the owner. I said, he's telling people not to come in. He said, really? He said, doesn't surprise me. He said, the motherfucker's grimy like that.
Damn.
This is his own establishment.
Right.
And rather than make this money,
just threw you a bone.
Exactly. So my man said, listen, what we're going to do, our last few shows, we're going to blow the roof off this motherfucker, and when we're gone, we're going to make them ask, yo, what happened to you?
Mm-hmm.
I hosted...
It's double now.
I hosted, exactly. I hosted Broadway Comedy Club for a year. In, I think it was 2015 to 2016, because this is when Trump was running. And a lot of I was telling them, listen, comedians are voting for this motherfucker because that's 4 years of material.
It's like, I foresee this shit.
And I was host for a year, and on their website, never once did they put my name on my picture as a host of that.
Wow.
9 o'clock Saturday night, their biggest show of the week.
Your name not on it.
My name and my face is not on it. They just called it All-Star Comedy Show. And right after my show was an 11:30 show by Richie Redding, who was one of the guys that would perform on my show, and one of my colleagues. They had his face and his name, the 11 o'clock show at Broadway Comedy Club featuring Richie Redding.
Yeah, for sure. That's just the business.
Yeah.
Damn.
So when I brought it to the manager's attention, he called the owner, and the owner said to me, oh, Sinck, you know what? I'm not the person that enters the information on our website. I'll get in touch with that person, and we'll try to correct it.
Oh, damn.
Now, that was after I was doing it for about 4 months.
Sounds like he was giving you the runaround.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, all jokes out.
8 months later, still wasn't on there. So and we were packing that room to the point where they had to run in the basement or one to run in the other comedy rooms and bring in seats.
We need to stand up more as a unity.
Well, that's
push that over, because that's always going to be done when we just slide it to the rug.
And that's the thing. When money's involved, when you let's say what happened with Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
When Colin Kaepernick took a knee, the thought was, all the players of color should take a knee. They are the product. If they don't play, the owners have nothing to sell.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that sounds like an easy fix. But then, guys start thinking about their pockets. Yo, man, I need this money, man. I signed this contract. I understand, Kaepernick, you're right about what you're doing, but I can't afford to blow this money, and that's how they always get.
That's what happened in the '92 finals, Bulls and Lakers. A couple guys on the Bulls, I forgot his name. He grew up to be like an activist. Like his mother grew up, like one of those.
Craig Hodges.
Yeah, and
best 3-point shooter in the league when he was there.
Yeah, and he went to the White House. They won the championship. They went to the White House.
In a kufi.
And wrote the president, George Bush Sr., the president, wrote him a letter basically saying what's going on in these streets and police brutality and all that stuff. And I guess the president read it, and then literally that was his last day in the NBA.
Yeah.
Last day. I guess it got word to somebody big. He'd never played a game in the
gatekeepers, like you were saying.
The gatekeepers.
He got
That's all it is. It gets right back to the gatekeeper, like, yo, who's this guy?
Exactly.
Oh, he's in the NBA?
Get him out.
Get rid of him. Not even get him out.
Never played a game after that.
He's a hell of a 3-point shooter.
He just won a championship.
Exactly.
Never played a game.
The best 3-point shooter in the league at the time.
And he talked to Jordan and Magic, and he said, he was like, if you guys do it, it'll be a stand. Exactly. And Jordan was like, fuck out of here. And Magic said this because that was his first ring. He was like, I ain't wasting my chance on my chance.
And Jordan said, listen, Republicans buy sneakers too.
Yep. My Jordans is selling right now.
It's crazy though, because you figure, like you said, with Jordan saying, he's thinking like a businessman.
He's thinking
like I know, like you say, I know you're right, but I can't have my family outside in the streets.
Exactly. Look at Shaq. Shaq's
and
smart
there's
as fuck.
certain guys that throw that to the wind. Kaepernick was the modern day Muhammad Ali.
No, don't say that.
Well, this is why I'm saying it, because Muhammad Ali, when Muhammad Ali refused to go into the military,
He was heavyweight champ.
that was his prime.
Mm-hmm.
Angelo Dundee said, when people talk about seeing Muhammad Ali in their prime, I tell them to shut up because you've never seen him in his prime. He was sitting in a jail cell in his prime.
No, he didn't go to jail.
Oh yeah, for 3 years.
No, I thought he didn't go to jail.
No, he did.
I was alive and well when
Really?
it happened. Yes, sir.
He was watching it live, all right?
I'm not mistaken. He didn't go to jail.
Yeah,
He
No, he
didn't. He
did.
got stripped of his title.
He got
and
stripped of
I
his
didn't think
title.
he didn't do no time.
Yeah, he did.
He was
We need
incarcerated.
we need some info.
Don't you pick up Google.
We need some info.
Will Smith playing his role
Hold
too.
on.
Yeah.
What you say? What
We
you
need
say?
some info.
How you gonna get that?
I don't know. Google
He's
it.
giving
you better not
you
Google.
info.
No,
He was watching it.
I know.
He can't record himself watching it because cell phones
But
didn't
myself
exist.
believes strongly that he
I don't give a damn. He's telling you what it is. Just like when
He
you were
was
telling us,
incarcerated.
He was?
we were
Muhammad
watching
Ali
Bill
was
Cosby.
incarcerated.
Wow, I didn't think he did jail
Yes, he
time.
did.
I just think he was. I thought he was revoked.
K-Dog's
from his title.
K-Dog's gonna go home and Google it. I gotta make sure about that.
Then he's gonna go
I was-
rewatch the one that Will Smith
And
was at.
they wanted him, they
Just
wanted him to
see.
do exhibition fights while he was in prison. He
Wow.
was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Wow. Yeah, but I say don't compare him to Muhammad Ali because Kaepernick, he stood for a cause. I'm with that. But why is he in the NFL today?
He's not in the NFL today. He's trying out.
signed for the Raiders. The Raiders are about to sign him.
I'm hoping that they do.
But why, if you're going to stand up, first of all, he took the money that they handled out in court. No, they didn't.
The settlement he
The
took.
settlement, he took the money, and
And-
now he's going back to the same league that he called them slaves.
This is the thing.
What the fuck?
He took the money from the settlement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He also got paid from Nike
Mm-hmm.
because he had a campaign
He had
behind that.
he had a
He got
contract.
paid from Netflix.
Mm-hmm. For that
because
documentary.
he did the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And crazy as it was, when Kaepernick did it peacefully, the way a soldier asked him to do it,
Mm-hmm.
he took a knee.
Mm-hmm. And they
There were
kicked him
no
out.
changes.
And they kicked him out.
Exactly. There were no changes.
So why go to an organization that don't give two shits
this,
about you?
This is the thing. The changes came after folks started burning shit up. The summer of lawlessness that they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? People started wrecking buildings and rioting. And
But what did the NFL change exactly?
Well, all the NFL did, and to me, the changes are
sorry.
superficial. But there are different parts of the collective bargaining agreement that had to be tweaked. That's when they put the words in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
Black
Yeah,
Lives
Black Lives
Matter.
Matter. I don't give a shit
and
about that.
Exactly, in the back of the helmet. That's
Yeah.
all superficial.
Yeah.
That's all superficial. And all they can tell you is like the Rooney Rule. Yeah, we will interview a minority for every head coaching job. But then the Rooney Rule got blown out the water when Brian Flores was supposed to interview for the Giants job, and Bill Belichick, to his his carelessness in his cell phone, when he had the two Brians, he didn't put white Brian and black Brian.
Yeah, exactly.
So he called black Brian thinking he was talking to white Brian and say, yo, congratulations on getting the job.
Yeah.
And black
wow.
Brian was like, oh, okay, maybe
Okay.
you got the inside track.
Yeah.
Come to find out it was the
It's the
Brian
other
that they
Brian.
had seen before, and they hadn't even interviewed Brian Flores yet.
Mm.
And that's when Brian Flores said, oh, it was a foregone conclusion before they even talked to me.
Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I'm just weird about with the Kaepernick situation. Like, if you're gonna stand like a Muhammad Ali, if he did go to jail for those years, he went down for a court. He didn't care about the money. He didn't care about his title because he got ripped out of his prime. Like we said, he got ripped out of his prime, and he didn't care. It was for the main cause. And he said something really powerful. They wanted him to fight Muhammad Ali. He said they wanted me to fight people that did nothing to me over in the
Exactly.
Philippines and everything.
Other people.
And
of
I
color.
come home and I can't I can't eat in my own restaurants, can't eat in my own town, get dogs and things on my people. He's like, so he threw his medal in the water.
He was
won
raised.
gold.
He was raised in Louisville. That's before he
Exactly.
even went into to jail.
Yeah,
He was. He fought in. He fought in the Olympics.
Olympics.
And
Yeah,
he won a gold medal.
and he threw it right in the water.
I come back to Louisville, Kentucky, and there's still
Segregation,
restaurants that I
yep.
can't go into. I still got to sit in a particular part of the
Mhm.
bus. I'm still being called boy. I'm a grown man.
Yep.
And this
And
is
the
the country
football
that I
star
represent.
too. Around that time, Brown,
Mhm.
Brown, the basketball player we talked about.
Jabbar.
Yeah, Jabbar, all them. Jabbar, they were on the same channel of what their cause was. That's why I'm thinking, like, the dilution of Kaepernick is totally different. Like, he's not standing up for anything.
Well, he came up in a different time, number one. Number two, those guys were still able. They made their move when they were young in their careers, so they could still come back and continue their careers. Colin was toward the end of his career. Well, in the middle of his career. It would have been the prime of his career if they didn't keep him out of the league. And now he still has stuff that's
he's
left.
Better than the quarterback that they have.
I think
signed
he's better
right
than half the quarterbacks that are in the league. Yeah, absolutely.
He's tall, strong, everything. And
hopefully there'll be changes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why are you going to go to an organization that didn't do anything? What they told Dr. Dre that he could perform at the halftime show. That's what they did.
That was
Jay-Z's
deal made with Jay-Z and Rock Nation.
Exactly.
Yeah,
had nothing to do with the NFL.
And because when they did that to Kaepernick, a lot of those entertainers said, we're not going to perform at halftime.
Yeah, well, they need the entertainers.
Exactly. So they spoke to Jay-Z. He said, listen, Jay, you're on our level. Matter of fact, you're making more money than I am, motherfucker. See if you could talk to some of these people.
The NFL ain't on the same level as the NBA. Well, like, as in organization-wise.
The NFL, let me tell you, the NFL is a legal monopoly. The NFL is that powerful. They bring the USFL back periodically just to avoid the antitrust and the things that they would have to deal with as a monopoly.
Wow. Yeah, NFL sounds powerful.
Oh, it's very powerful. Their commissioner makes $45 million a year. He can't. He doesn't catch a ball. He don't throw a block.
Just to commission shit.
Just to sit there and keep the natives quiet while the owners do what they do.
Wow.
$45 million. There's only, I think, one guy in the NFL that's making money like him is Patrick Mahomes. As of his last contract.
Patrick Mahomes making that much?
Yes, he is.
That motherfucker.
Yes, he is.
I mean, he's in commercials, too. Like,
I know, but he need to get on. I'm talking about player contract.
No, I know.
He ain't deserve that much fucking money.
He's a $500 million.
But he don't deserve that much money.
Well, it was the timing.
Yeah, exactly. He won the Super Bowl.
He had your 3-year rookie contract. And at the end of his 3-year rookie contract, he wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but then what? Where now? But what now? I mean, timing's right. Let the brother get paid.
They got him on. The NFL games and shit like the NFL 2K.
The Chiefs are still one of the more powerful teams in the league.
Yeah,
now they've taken one of his best weapons away,
and he's getting hurt a lot.
Well, he's going to get targeted more. And these athletes aren't the same as back in the day.
He needs to slim down a little bit.
You know, all these athletes that have guaranteed money, if you follow the Mets, Jacob deGrom, this dude is hurt more than he's pitching.
K-Dogg, I really must say, man. What year were you born again?
92.
You sure? Yeah. Because I don't believe you anymore.
Nah, I don't.
like you on the whole thing of reincarnation.
For sure.
Only fear death.
It was like y'all were catching up on some sports and shit. I'm like,
I didn't want to stop you guys from talking tonight.
I was like, can I get a segment in this motherfucker? Like, shit. It's like you. I'm naturally fucking me. I'm naturally funny. You know what I mean?
You sure you didn't live on the same block he did?
We sidebar our conversation real quick.
Yeah, sidebar the whole conversation. Like, he's like, oh, this is K-Dogg's podcast, bro. You know, so this is Digital K-Dogg.
Digital K.
Digital K. You know what I mean? Like,
you know, K.A.P, he was the first letter in
man, that's just to make it work. I'm gonna be real with you. That was just to make it work. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if we put digital pack, people might be thinking something else. Like, you know, you can't have that now. You know what I mean? Like,
his initial comes first. That might mean some shit.
So no improv. You just went straight into it. You didn't take no improv classes, no nothing.
Nah, just got on stage and did what the fuck I do.
Nice.
And as I said, being a teacher, I got past the public speaking part, but I also had the forethought to know that I need segues, and I got to make it flow. And the night that I was going on, there was a guy that went on before me, and he was a novice as well. My family didn't know what my stage name was going to be, and at the time I was working for New York City Transit. The guy that went on right before me, they said, ladies and gentlemen, this next performer is an employee at New York City Transit. Everybody started clapping already. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the G-Man. So they were like, G-Man? Okay, my middle name begins with G.
Is an
so
Avenger
like,
or something?
Okay, maybe that's what he's going with. Fuck it. All right, G-Man.
Before the Giants is going by G-Man.
And then this guy comes out, and his first line was, "Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, while I make a fart." That's the reaction he got. My aunts and people from my family, I was like, yo, my aunt might take her belt off and fuck this nigga up right on stage, because that shit was totally disrespectful.
Where did the name come from?
Sinck.
Sinck?
Yeah.
My full name is Robert Sinkler.
Oh, there we go.
And everybody that's male, anybody in my family gets called Sinck. At a job or a school or what have you. So it was a way of paying homage to my entire family.
It's like Nigerians in Nigeria are called, there's a certain tribe they call Thai. everybody in that tribe is called Thai. My uncle Thai.
my grandparents were called Ma Sinck and Pa Sinck.
Wow. That's crazy.
It was a perfect name for me.
Sinck, I like it. Especially it comes from, something, your name.
Exactly. And I told people now, SINCK stands for sense is never common, kid. So the expression common sense doesn't make sense.
I like it.
It's not common.
I like it.
Definitely not common anymore. Like,
nope.
Far from it, baby.
What you doing? Are you planning to do any touring? I know COVID messed everything up for that.
Yeah, and the gigs that I had over in the UK were first impacted by the Brexit issue that they had, leaving the European Union. That killed a lot of the economy over there.
Wow.
And then the icing on the cake was COVID. So it's going to take a while before that circuit rebuilds itself, if it ever does.
What about in our country?
I'm saying it's still feeling the effects out there?
Yeah, they had the largest comedy circuit in the world. The John Galliers comedy circuit was in 17 different cities.
Oh, wow.
So I could go to England. I could actually live in
Europe itself.
Yeah, and just tour. And those guys are actually the breadwinners in their family. Comedy isn't some side hustle for them.
Wow. That's a doctor.
Their main, that's their main income. And they were raising families as comedians. And as I said, Brexit screwed that up. And then on top of it, the COVID. And the owner of the circuit, the owner of that chain sold the chain even before Brexit.
Yeah.
And he sold it to somebody that really wasn't as business minded as he was, and the chain started to weaken. And then he tried to come back and purchase it again because he got pissed off at what happened to it, and never really regained the traction that it
So
had.
what's I guess if you said in England was the biggest, what's the biggest now since they fell to the wayside?
I don't know if there's any particular comedy chain. You have the Funny Bone that has venues throughout the United States. I would imagine that they're probably in probably most cities. And then you have Yuck Yucks.
I heard the Funny Bone a lot.
Yeah, the Funny Bone's in a number of cities here. The one that I'm familiar with is in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Yuck Yucks is up in Canada.
You looking to tour the States? Like, if you can't, because you can't do what you usually do, as in going.
Touring is cool, and I don't mind touring. The thing is, I'm not signed to an agent.
Okay.
And I've been contemplating that. There's some comedians that, swear by getting signed to an agent.
It's like a master's, like kind of the same concept.
Well, no, saying from like not to cut you off, but basically he does all his own work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that's really what it comes down to. Yeah.
And I decide where I go.
Yeah.
And I get all the money that I earn.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing about having an agent is that this person, if your agent is somebody that is in the field and he's a good agent, or she's a good agent, they're going to get you in different venues, and you're going to get. I got the commercial deals that I did for Miller Lite through an agent.
Okay.
A personal
they have
friend
the pull.
of mine.
They have the pull.
Jason Steinberg is a personal friend of mine. He's been a comedy agent for years.
Okay.
And although I'm not signed to him, he'll call me up and say, "Hey, Sinck, I got something that I think is perfect for you."
Okay.
I've heard of the name before.
Jason Steinberg.
Yeah, what other comedians have he? Yeah.
He used to work with Patrice O'Neill. He used to work with Tony Woods. He used to work with a gentleman named Cortez Jackson, who's no longer with us. quite a few comedians.
Yeah, no, I've heard that name before. Yeah, so I've probably heard it on
Where's
stand
he out
up.
of?
Yeah, Jason's been around for a long time. Jason's a Brooklyn cat, but his office is in Midtown Manhattan.
Okay. So with a tour, would you bring other comedians with you, like somebody like a TK Kirkland or like?
If that's what the tour called for.
It's TK motherfucking Kirk.
T motherfucking K.
yeah. T motherfucking.
And T was regarded as the biggest underground comedian in the country.
He's funny.
He's funny as fuck. Who raised you?
Who raised you? T is definitely a whole nother level, man. T's an amazing cat.
He got a podcast too.
He's honest
takes,
too.
Like phone calls and shit like that.
He's honest. I like his honest comedian.
He's too honest. Literally too honest.
Like, he grew up in New Jersey with some friends of mine that went to school with him.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And, young lady I used to see, she actually calls him Terrence.
Man, she know him by Terrence.
She knows him by Terrence.
Damn.
That's how you know him for a long time. Like, I don't care what your stage name is. You're Terrence to me.
I know who TK is. Terrence.
Exactly.
Kirkland, not even your last name, goddammit.
T is one of those cats that I've had the pleasure of working with on several occasions, man. And
nice.
I become an audience member when he blesses the mic, man. Because T can make him go.
Yeah.
You have that same issue that because me DJing, a music producer, back when I was DJing like crazy, I would go somewhere and just try to relax, but now I hear the DJ and a mix may mess up. I'm like, oh, I caught that. Oh, that sucks. Oh, yeah. You must be doing the same thing going to clubs.
Well, it happens when anytime you're in a profession, you're going to see it from a different lens. As a comedian, I check guys' timing. I can see when they run out of material and now they're stretching out and trying to make something happen. I could see when they lose their place, and you're like, okay, let me see if he comes back and if he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
D.L. Hughley, I don't know if it's going to be on the list of anybody, the funniest guy I've ever seen. He's up there, but D.L. Hughley to me is probably the best technical comedian. His flow is crazy.
He's my favorite, like top 5.
Yeah,
easy.
And I can definitely see that.
I was watching the Def Comedy Jam 25th anniversary. I've seen it many times. Yeah. But there's one on there where it's D.L. Hughley and Dave Chappelle, and they go completely off script. Like it's
the same episode, right? They were on.
It was basically almost like a reward show setup.
Oh, they did that. Okay.
And then Dave said something, didn't like it, and they just went off.
I'm talking about the original, like
no. I'm just saying the reunion special.
The anniversary.
Like that is one of the funniest scenes ever. Like you want to talk about two guys just going off the head?
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Exactly.
TK Kirk, he owned that. I think that's the place you were talking about. What DL was doing. TK was the lead guy there. He had to do something or left, and then they hired D.L. Hughley to host the whole event. I think that was the same place you were talking about.
What
that he was
hosting? BET's Comic View?
Yeah, he was hosting something, and it was HBO though. It turned into HBO.
Comic View has always been a BET show.
Okay, so it was something different.
Yeah, HBO was Def Jam.
Okay, and
after Def Jam no longer aired, and again that has to do with gatekeepers and you not coming through.
It was
the
too much.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Chappelle.
Because the thing was, if you look at the early Def Comedy Jam shows, Martin would say, "Ladies and gentlemen, you haven't heard of this kid, but you're gonna know him after this. Put your hands together for a young kid out of Atlanta, Chris Tucker." And this kid comes out, high voice.
Roaches.
Yo, man.
Roaches are gang members in my house.
Exactly. I'm so broke. If a motherfucker rob me, he just be practicing.
He be practicing.
Yo, Chris Tucker, and nobody knew who this kid was, but he had this mean persona.
Yeah, he had the black on black.
And black on black. And his shit was like, And it went with the material that he was doing. Now, I have a friend of mine, Cool Bubba Ice, who was at the San Francisco Bay Comedy Competition with Chris Tucker. And the two of them came in like next to last and last.
Wow.
And they were sitting in the hallway contemplating, damn, what am I going to do now, man? My uncle got a cleaners. Maybe I could get a job. And he said, Chris just jumped up and said, fuck these niggas, man. We going to make it. I ain't gonna give up. Fuck these niggas, man. And he just left.
Damn.
Eddie Murphy did horrible at that same comedy competition.
Oh shit!
San Francisco Bay Area comedy competition.
Damn,
they give you the business over there.
Seems
apparently,
you've been in a few of the competitions.
I heard San Francisco.
Yeah, I've been in a few competitions here in New York. Matter of fact, there was one that I won where I was supposed to go to the St. Lucia Jazz Fest and open for Thea Vidal, and it was hosted by Sinbad.
Oh, nice.
But after I won the competition, they were like, we can't really deliver that, son.
They stopped hosting in San Francisco for a while because it was crazy. Like,
the thing is with comedy competitions, and this is what I tell comedians all the time. First of all, comedy is very subjective.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not like we all started a line here and whoever gets to the finish line wins.
Yeah.
Right.
What's funny to you might not be funny to him, and so you got to look at the judges.
That's why it's amazing.
And you say, who am I performing for? Am I performing for the 300 people sitting in front of me, or
That's
these
true.
three
How do you
motherfuckers
judge
at
a
the
comedian?
table?
That's true.
And if the judging is done objectively, it should be based on the response of those 300 people out there.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because Roy Wood Jr., right?
Okay.
He has a joke about that. What was it? He did some kind of award show, and one of the dudes from B2K said that you're horrible. So Arsenio Hall was there. He held him back. Like, no, don't beat him up on live TV. So he said what he ended up doing after that, he didn't realize that he works for a radio station, so he banned everything B2K. Started going to FYE, taking B2K CDs, put them in like the gospel section. Like, you won't mess with me. But that's what I'm saying.
Marion group, right?
Huh? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I agree with what you're saying. Where it's like here's a kid that's from B2K. Is 18 years old. You're not gonna tell a grown man how comedy is. Like, that's ridiculous.
Like, even on the landscape of judging it, it's true. Like, how the hell you really, like, if it's a competition, how the fuck you judge? Same thing like a beauty competition. How the fuck do you judge somebody's opinion?
You judge it by, like, okay, so, because I watch a lot of AGT, America's Got Talent, and there's a lot of comedians in there. And I watch Britain's Got Talent. A lot of comedians out there, too. There's a funny dude. He's hilarious. And he was, I guess... He does comedy in his hometown, and one of the judges actually knew him not knew him personally, but knew his material. And it's, they want comics to win that shit.
But is it a comic show? Like,
no, it's America's Got Talent.
Okay,
it's just talent everywhere.
Everybody.
So, so it's like, okay, if you don't make the judge laugh, they'll just give you a red X, that's it. You know what I mean? Exactly. And then if you get 4 X's, you're done.
Even like
you know what I mean? Like you could get a golden buzzer too, because you funny as hell. You made the crowd laugh. You knew how to control the crowd. You knew how to make the audience, the judges laugh. You know how to control the judges, because that's a big thing too. So, it's a lot. They
what
judge
about,
a lot.
Comedians going against each other? Like, who wins? How the hell do you? I mean,
that's the whole point of the competition. Basically,
separate it, but like
have
from
snap
worse
competitions where you rank on each other and whoever has the best
okay.
But wouldn't that be like the crowd mostly?
The reaction of the crowd. Everything regarding comedy is based on the reaction of the crowd. Who can move the crowd? When I was running recreation at New York Tech, they would hire comedians to come to entertain the students, and I'd stay in the back. And the people that knew that I was a comedian would look back at me between each joke.
You looking like the Godfather, like, yes or no?
Referee,
And then after the show, invariably, the dean of students would come to me and say, Sinck, what'd you think? I said, well, the kids enjoyed them.
Yeah.
That's what you paid them for. I said, now, personally, he was garbage. Because none of that shit was funny to me.
Right.
But you paid that comedian to enter this audience and entertain this audience, and he did that.
Which goes back to a business move.
Exactly. And those kids had a good time with it. He did his job. But I would never book the motherfucker.
Not in your crowd.
Nah. And I was there's material that they call hacky material that you've heard everybody do. Guys talk about having a big dick, man, but babies come out of there. You've heard 75 guys do that shit.
Literally.
Man, there's ways of spinning it so that it sounds like it's yours. But it's what they call hacking material.
It's old material.
Like talking about weed and shit like that. People talk about that all the time.
Exactly. But when you want to get something that is creative,
truthful,
and exactly, it's coming at you from an angle.
Right.
This guy, Burris Hammond. Is his name Burris Hammond?
Hannibal?
Hannibal
He's
Buress.
hilarious.
He's funny as fuck. Yeah.
I'm ashamed that I fucked
knew
his
you
name
talk
up
about
because
it,
Burris Hammond is a fucking reggae artist. Hannibal Buress is a hugely funny cat.
Yeah.
And his delivery is uniquely his. You know, the way he speaks, and it's a highly intelligent kid.
Yeah.
And the minute you hear the delivery, you don't have to see him. You know who that is.
Yep.
Yeah.
The same thing with Chappelle. When Chappelle is in rare air right now.
Yeah, he's
Chappelle
different.
can fill a stadium and just have a conversation.
Yeah.
His comedian is on another level.
You gotta. I've seen.
He's chilling. Like
Chappelle's like up there with like one of my favorites. And if you go to YouTube, there's this clip. I don't know what year it was, but it was also like a regular VHS. Someone was recording it. It's a 6-hour clip. And it's legit. You sit down on the stage talking to like 4 people. And it's the funniest stuff I've ever heard in my life. Like it's
That's
like,
a natural comedian.
Yeah.
All his shit is truthful too.
A person that has the sense of humor. He has that sixth sense. And he knows. You know, Chappelle's level of intelligence. There's comedians that make me laugh. Then there are comedians that make me wonder, damn, how did he come up with that? It's comedians that inspire me to write. And Chappelle is the last two, where I was like, wow, this dude's brain. You know, he talks about one of his early gigs in New York, when he first moved to New York. And he said, I did a show for some pimps. It was a players' ball. And they booked me for X amount of dollars, but during the night, because I was good, they started collecting money. And by the end of the night, I had like 20 grand.
Damn.
He said, and I put that in my knapsack, and I'm walking home gingerly like, God damn, if anybody had any idea as to how much money I have in this fucking knapsack, I'd be dead. He said, this shit is crazy. He said he couldn't get that paranoia out of his head. He said, now turn that into something that people want all the time.
Yeah.
Women and pussies. They have to walk around with that valuable thing that somebody somewhere wants all the time. He said that night I knew for a little bit what it's like to be a fine woman.
Yeah.
With that 20K in that knapsack.
Exactly. How do you ever come to those two?
Yeah.
To that comparison. But when he finishes the set, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's done jokes where like he's giving you the punchline first,
exactly,
and then works
and
his
then
way
go
back. Yeah, it's the
punchline is kick the bitch in the pussy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know.
Tell you why.
Exactly.
And let me tell you how that punchline became a punchline.
You know how vicious you have to be in order to tell the people, because the punchline, the part of a punchline's effect is the surprise.
Yeah.
That nobody saw it coming. But when you can give it to them first and then do the setup and still
give it to them.
It's another type of cadence.
That's a bad boy.
Yeah.
Patrice O'Neal is another one. When you look at Patrice's stuff, I knew Patrice very well. He was one of my very, very good friends. And seeing him on stage and watching his set and hearing his bits, I would still look at him like, motherfucker, how did you come up with that, man? Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
There's one that he does about throwing away a can of soda, the reason why he doesn't litter anymore. I can't even repeat it. But when he runs full circle and talks about why, it's about him getting accused of raping a white girl. But it's about throwing away a can of soda. And it's unbelievable. And Patrice was a bouncer.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Patrice was a big dude.
He was looking at people on stage. He's like, yo, that dude was really not that funny. And my introduction to Patrice, we were on the same new comedian show at a club called Catch a Rising Star that doesn't even exist anymore in Manhattan.
Right.
And the person putting together the roll call said to me, you're going to go on after Patrice O'Neal. I said, well, where is she? So I know when she's on stage that I'm coming up next. And when I said, where is she? He was like behind me. He said, I'm here. I said, yo, my bad, fam. He said, don't worry about it. It happens all the time. He said, it's not a common name for men, but, you know, and from that point on, we would see each other in different places. And we had a mutual respect, man, that fueled our friendship.
Yeah.
And Patrice, there are two types of people in the world. people that love Patrice O'Neal and people that can't stand Patrice. Because there's a few females that are friends of mine that are like, I really didn't like him. Because Patrice was very intuitive. And if he knew you had a weakness or a button he could press,
he's pressing it.
He pressed it. Just to watch you squirm.
Who's your top 5? Can you name your top 5?
Top
comedians?
5 of all time?
Yeah, in your obviously your opinion.
In my opinion, Red Fox, as I said, Eddie, Rich, right off the top, Bernie, Robin Harris, and there's not room enough for me to just put it into 5 because I have to throw in George Carlin. I have to throw in
Dick Gregory.
Dick Gregory was a different type of beast.
Yeah, he was a different type of beast.
And Dick Gregory actually ran for president.
He's smart as fuck.
He's extremely
all jokes aside.
smart.
When I be hearing him talk, I used to watch some videos and shit. Just hearing him talk, and then he can make anybody feel so stupid.
Like, he did a lecture at New York Tech when I was a student there. That was sophomore, freshman. And by the time he finished that lecture and told us about America, the whole 9, I had practice that night. And me and your father had football practice. And, you know, normally we would be getting there just before we were late, so we didn't have to run laps. And the coach ran up to us and said, hey, you guys got to hurry. We're like, yo, not today, B.
Not today.
We just finished watching Dick Gregory, man. Don't fuck with us. And the coach actually got out the way. He said, okay.
I understand.
That's why he never.
I watched Dick Gregory too.
That's why he never blew up.
Oh, Dick Gregory?
Yeah, like to the point.
Dick Gregory was huge.
He was huge, but not like Cosby. Like he wasn't on that level. Like
he
mainstream.
He wasn't palatable like Cosby.
Exactly.
Because Cosby was entertaining everybody.
He
was a Jello pudding.
Yeah, exactly.
Jello pudding.
And Cosby wasn't going to make anybody uncomfortable.
Well, Sinck. Well, where you gonna be soon? Where you gonna be next?
Have a spot in Brooklyn called Kendra's Lounge.
Okay.
I do the last Thursday of every month.
All right.
Nice.
Which is this Thursday coming up. It's located at 1744 Nostrand Avenue on the corner of Clarendon Road. And I have every 2-week comedy show that I call the Backyard Comedy Jam in Brooklyn also at 489 Quincy Street. It's a backyard. But
Nice.
when you get back there, you wouldn't believe that there's a bar, there's concessions, the whole 9.
Oh, man.
And it came out of the pandemic.
All right.
So it was an outdoor venue. People didn't have to be self-conscious about being indoors.
And that's regular, you said?
Every other Friday.
Okay.
So the next one is July 8th.
Oh,
All right.
Nice.
Give the people your socials real quick.
Yeah, you could find me on Facebook at Robert Sinkler. And Robert spelled the way Robert is spelled. Sinck, S-I-N-C-K. Sinkler is S-I-N-C-K-L-E-R. And I'm on Instagram at Sinck Boogie.
All right.
S-I-N-C-K-B-O-O-G-I-E.
Nice.
I like that.
And other than that,
Keep him out.
I still got a landline, still got a beeper. Come on, son.
How you answer beepers now? There ain't no payphones.
He said,
I'm saying.
That's the hard part. Finding a payphone is the challenge. I tell people there's 3 in America, so I hope I'm near one.
1 in Alabama.
Exactly. This has been a pleasure.
Yeah, man. I think it's perfect.
By, man.
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah,
Thank you, baby. Thank you. We could do this.
I know we could go forever, man. That's Habi, hit him with our socials, man.
Well, y'all gotta reintroduce yourselves, you know.
K-Dogg in the building.
DJ Roosta all day, baby.
And it's your boy AJ to the BI, also known as Habi. Don't forget to check out our socials. Don't forget to check out, our socials is at Digital KAP Entertainment. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and always hit the notification bell for new episodes and new content. And also check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, and Pandora as well, where you can always check out our podcast.
Yep.
And yeah, this is HA to the BI.
Support the journey.
Yes, sir. Check out our Cash App. Support the journey, support the movement. And we out, fellas. Digital KAP, where you at?
Yes.